Dewey is next on the chopping block. And it seems like Fasco and White, they know where Dewey is. He is. Jumbo. Oh boy. No, shows his.
I'm just gone.
And Matrix, at least they need some damage, but it might be enough. Matrix now, they'll be under fire. Fasco and White coming through. Almighty chipping in. Matrix will go down eventually as they took a very unfavorable fight. But Fasco and White not done yet. Look at that, 11 kills. Bow out, so that's extra points for Matrix. They're gonna be happy with that. 8 kill Legend is gonna be the next one to go down. As Brady
To expand each and every single one of those blue walls. McRory taking those shots, pops his time turner as well. Beautiful nade down. Monarch gets caught off guard, and that bounce off of the tree was absolute perfection from McRory.
Survivors, tayo perlukan sokongan. Carikan kunci. Keluarkan saya dari sini.
block. And it seems like Fasco and White, they know where Dewey is. He is. Jumbo. Oh boy. No, shows his.
I'm just torn in between, man. I want both of those squads to get the best out of the equation. Backlist International now. Cobra takes Spade out of the equation, or to the very least knocks him down onto the ground. Cobra needs to be very careful. So 7 HP left, and he goes in for the slice.
Now Almighty! And Matrix, at least they need some damage, but it might be enough. Matrix now, they'll be under fire. Fasco and White, but Ray Miao fights an easy leg shot. But he ran. Almighty suffers extra casualties. DXG Radicals now.
SAF, and they don't really have much of a compound here. They have to expand each and every single one of those blue walls. But McRory taking those shots, pops his time turner as well. Beautiful nade down. Monarch gets.
everyone, and welcome back to the MCP Majors Season 2. And this week is going to be a grand week for all of us, not just you viewers, but also the casters and my wonderful partner, Hauler. Welcome to the stream.
Thank you for having me, and I'm really excited to see the second half of this league. Obviously, this is Season 2. This is to see a lot more fireworks in this Season 2.
So just to remind people, or at least give you a refresher if you don't know what we're talking about. So we're halfway through the league so far, and now the groups have been reshuffled. So whatever we saw before this point, the teams are going to be in completely different groups because now teams are going to be playing with different teams. It's kind of hard to explain, Hauler. Maybe you have a better way of explaining it.
Yeah. No, I mean, different in terms of the matchups that you get, right? And so having that shake-up where the teams are kind of spread out a little bit more evenly, I would say, in terms of play skill. You're going to see a little bit of a diverse, different games, right? Because of the fact that you're playing up against.
We're going to be able to shake off who's in your group. You're playing inside every single game. But before we take a look at the groups, just a reminder that we are still in the league stage. So the players at the moment, they're currently playing for top 12, because if you can make it to the top 12, if they are able to get first place, but you got to wrestle SAF for that one.
Mm-hmm. And you probably want to save a little bit of strats, because at the end of the day, you want to be fighting for a chance at the big dance, which is going to be this one, which is the final stage. The top 12 teams are going to advance from that regular season that you talked about, and they're going to be playing in one grand finale. We're going to have a grand finale 3 if I was playing in this one. I'm super hyped to see who can make it.
I'm actually interested to see who's going to pull out some of the crazy calls during that final stage, because at some point you have to think the teams are probably prepared to even keep that in their sleeve, whereas the teams competing for 10 to 12, they're probably going to have to pull everything out just to make it to top 12.
Mm-hmm. And I think that with the, the top 3, you're sitting more comfortably. Like you have definitely. You can gain points, a bit of a gap there, 8, 7, 6, and so on, and all the way down to 11th and 12th, where you can technically get a donut. You get 0 points for that one, but every single kill that you do get will get you a point. So you got to make sure that you get those kills and that placement.
It's in the middle of the bracket. So you can salvage a terrible game. It's just how you approach that game and what opportunities you're able to grasp before you unfortunately get knocked out. Because at the end of the day, we're looking at a battle royale. Anyone can go down at any when it comes to those last couple circles.
Mm-hmm. And placement is one of those lucky things, right? Where sometimes you get lucked out. Maybe you end up a top 5 or whatever it is. But kills at the end of the day will make sure that you're more consistent. And that's what you need to do, is be consistent with scoring points, right? Placements is completely random at times.
These groups are good. I mean, Hauler, I was asking you before the broadcast, do you think the groups are going to be as spicy as some of us are expecting them to be?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's going to be a bit of a shakeup. I think they have to, because, but I mean, just going into today's day of the schedule, it's going to be Bermuda and Kalahari, swapping back and forth between these two maps. And I think we've talked a lot about these two maps, and I think that you liked Kalahari. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. So you've got Bermuda, your fast-paced map. You can see who's going to be moving very quickly within the groups, who's going to be more passive. Whereas Kalahari, I think Kalahari shows more of the patience in the teams, and then we get a glimpse of who's able to hold their shots for the correct moment, right? Because we've seen way too many situations where in Kalahari...
Bermuda, because I like my action aggressive. I just want to get in there. I just want to see, some bloodshed. I just want to see the action. I don't want to wait till the second half of the movie to see what's going on. But if we're looking at the competing teams, this is the shakeup that we talked about. Like looking through this, I'm seeing Black.
They haven't really moved. Although, I'm going to be honest, looking at Group B, it seriously looks like an SAF group. I think the only team that can really compete with SAF in this group is Metrics. Freedom is a bit shaky. I don't know. I feel like Group B is very, very lopsided.
Just guess.
Okay, wait, what do you mean point-wise?
Yeah, like just the average number of points that teams are scoring. Like we can just talk about strength by looking at just, how many points they're scoring, right? So if you're going to just kind of classify, top.
But I still think there's a lot of room for some of these teams to absolutely change. I mean, if someone in the top 6 just flounders, I suppose, during the next 3 weeks, and somebody from the bottom end of the bracket plays as, I think there's room to grow. I think as much as people think like, oh, it's over, there's no way they can qualify, there's absolutely time to grow.
Like, if you're looking at the points alone, Freedom Rumble 192. I think that obviously the Super Bowl, they need to ensure that they pick it up as well, because they don't want to be, on the outside looking in right now. So those are the teams that I think that you need to kind of flag. Those four: Tech, Wintex, Almighty, Freedom Rumble, Metrics. They need to have a big day moving forward, making sure that they're
favorable groups. And so for them, when they were playing certain rounds, it just felt that it was easy to get points in certain matchups. So hopefully we get a little bit of a change, but who knows? It's Free Fire. A lot of things go on. I want to see how teams are going to play around that.
PXG has been second place. They're in Group A now, and AKO Legend is going to be your third place team. They're going to be representing Group C. So all three groups have been spread out very clearly. It's a nice separation of skill and team, and we're going to see exactly how this one plays out. I'm
for PXG Radicals. I've been loving the way that these guys have been playing recently, and they're just looking so strong.
I mean, they had the most amount of points in day 6. I think they was 69 points. They had the most amount of kills with 29. They had 2 booyahs. This is a team that need to warm back up again, make sure that they're ready to play again, because every team's going to be excited to play, right? This is the second half. They're going to definitely want to make sure that, hey, first half, maybe we didn't have such a great one, but the second half, they're going to look to really pick things up and make sure that they are the dominant team.
We're going to be jumping into Groups A versus B very soon, and the map is going to be Bermuda, followed by Kalahari. So I hate asking this question. I also love it at the same time. Who are you actually thinking is going to dominate this group?
Ride the train that you kind of set up, in the sense of maybe I'm sabotaging your train by claiming the same team, but PXG Radicals, I like what I saw in day 6. I think they're going to continue that momentum.
Yeah, I'm getting that feeling as well. Now, I do against these teams, like, what's everyone feeling? I would love to hear their thoughts. I think that's going to be some questions we're going to have to ask at our next tea time. By the way, for anyone that just missed out, make sure to tune into all of the tea time videos where we get to have a nice little view into the mindsets of these players playing in the current.
Just to get the insights, you know what I mean? Like,
who would you love to interview?
Sorry, say again?
Who would you love to interview? Like, is there someone that you just want to walk up to them and just pick their brain?
I think Ramio, right, from PXG Radicals. Like, I feel like this guy just turns it up. Like, in terms of kills, this guy is on point. Just like, what is he thinking? Like, how he's able to, like 200 IQ all these plays, and just, I think he's a very intelligent man, and he's a very creative player, and you see that in his play. Considering
that the way he's been playing recently, there's without a doubt this guy, we're going to be seeing him for a very long time. Right? Especially with some of these players, we've seen them since season 1. I think a good example is Blacklist International. They did super well during season 1. We've seen them during season 2 play. Like, they were the ones dictating the pace. They were making the moves. Everyone was playing around them back then. But it seems like this season it's a little toned down. And I'm not 100% sure on what's sort of going on. Maybe they were waiting, they're just like, let's
start things off again, make sure that they've got themselves, a better chance, right? Because at the end of the day, you want to score high, you got to get yourself in the grand finals and then continue on, because if you want to stay in the Free Fire, I think there was like, I don't remember the exact number of teams. There was like 6 teams that Beef and Husky, please take it away.
Thank you very much to our lovely host once more, Danielle and Holler. I see that you guys are still on about the donut. Agree that donut should always be used to describe a team getting no points at all. Beef, we have a lot of things to talk.
A treat to actually watch and really just see how all of these teams respond to knowing that they're going to be in the same presence as SAF. Knowing very well the team members have been absolutely crazy. Mook himself has 64 kills overall. No, are definitely going to be the shine of that particular group. Group A also has a lot of things to say as well. You already know PXG Radicals has been absolutely crazy.
Yeah, we started the first. Apparently, Group A has the most balanced, groupings. Do you think that is agreeable, or do you feel like are gonna give us more of a surprise later on?
Absolutely balanced interaction when in terms of having Group A and Group B, because I feel like we keep saying this, especially before the pre-shuffle, right? Yeah. Group A is the kryptonite of Group B and Group C, and so on and so forth. So Group A, I feel like, could be the particular kryptonite for Group B, up and down in terms of like the situations that they really put themselves in. But if one particular player, Mbalor, if he pops off, he can definitely bring his team to a booyah.
Yeah, that I can definitely agree, right? Embelor and Alforte, these two guys are kind of like the dynamic duo of the team. But I feel like now that I look back at the Group A, gonna fare up against all of these Titans.
Well, it's going to be very hard for them. This is the reality of the situation that they really need to pick up all of the points because, Enigmax being in that 18th spot, that's going to be a little bit tough just because you're definitely going to be a map where you can really do that.
And hopefully that's going to be the case for Enigmax. But a team that has been showing up every now and then is Metrics, a team that I do well, but is pretty inconsistent, right? Sometimes they have a really good game, sometimes they just hot drop and they just, get sent back to the lobby in the first 30 seconds. What do you think should change, when a team runs into these kind of situations? Is it because of the game?
But where they're at the 11th spot here, need to pull up the points. If they don't, they might say just bye-bye. So with Metrics, they need to choose really good spots. Not only that, you need to engage in gunfights that you know you will win. See them shine.
Yeah, picking the fights that you know you have an advantage is important, but there's a team that picks their fights regardless of whether they have the advantage or not. A team that just likes to fight. No, I'm not talking about fast kill, I'm talking about bloody hit. They had really
there you go, yes.
brilliant moments, but they haven't gotten a single booyah just yet.
Yeah, and Bloody has, like what you said, it was absolutely just spot on. You see a lot of brilliant moments, especially we're taking a look right now, Saf, and honestly, this team need no introduction just because of how well they're doing. There's a reason top honcho, but they shouldn't be too careful. They shouldn't be too comfortable, just because right below them, PXG Radicals and AKO is definitely going to be there wanting to take their spot.
Have like a 57-point lead over PXG Radicals at this point of time, but we also saw some signs of cracks where SAF, they have been struggling to close out games. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, day 6, we kind of just saw PXG Radicals absolutely just pop off. So you have a point there. SAF may be slipping just a little bit, but they kind of have a little bit of leeway to do so. Just rack up all of the points. So again, they're going to be in a very interesting position where they can make a little bit of points, but they shouldn't be too comfortable because PXG Radicals, they're here to slay. And especially in our last day, that's going to be an interesting thing if we see them actually go into a gunfight.
Yeah, something that I think Wheels has to be a bit more worried since the initial circle does not really cover the guy that just rushes in and starts the fight. And we've seen a lot of situations where Daemoon absolutely slays everyone. He gets like double, triple.
Can actually go and clutch up and get a lot of those kills. And like what you said, Daemoon can really get a lot of those kills. Not only that, McRory, Forbids, every single one of their team can really have a lot of kills. I'm like looking at their kill feed. It's just absolutely crazy because that has been struggling here so far. Do Easy definitely has been struggling, and they are at the 13th spot. So kind of the same with Metrics and Bloody Head. Most definitely, they're one of the teams that can actually break through that top 10 if they really.
And Do Easy can be one of the top 8 teams, but it came as quickly. It goes. We have a booyah under the belt, so we know that they can do it. But it feels like they just can't really pull it through frequent enough.
Yeah, they need to be consistently good. Yes, we can say just really get rid of someone just behind the rock is going to be good. Even though they were at a disadvantage for being below the hill, they don't really care. It's PXG Radicals here, but they might pay if they don't do this right.
Yeah, and it seems like they are doing everything down to enemies, but PXG Radicals is one of those teams that Freedom Rumble pay a lot of respect to, and because of that, PXG Radicals, they just get a free 4 points.
Yeah, and honestly, doing a lot as well. Already 2 kills. Clank's already getting that, being a high fragger already for his team. Now, that is going to be very impressive for me. I really want to see Blacklist really pull through. Seen here, I've seen Ramiel throw 5 grenades in a row just to really just put that cherry on top of that win. So if you are
PXG, FSK are in trouble because Clanks just took out Ali. And that is the 3rd kill for Blacklist International, and it's also the 3rd kill for Clanks. But it seems like they want to go for more because Yun also is not in a good position. They all want to outrun that first blue zone, but Blacklist International, look at where they are. So spread out around Cape Town, and it seems like they have...
National knows that they're playing cat and mouse, and right now it just seems to be like Blacklist is going to be fair. But then just like that, we are going to be taking Now, yet again, Monito having 0 kills. They're going to be struggling here. The zone is going to be having a very hard time on them because they need to keep healing up. And yes, it's only going to be that first zone. It's not going to be giving you a lot of damage. But then just like that, we're actually seeing Blacklist International struggling just a little bit. Monito with the grenade giving a little bit of damage though. This is what I like to see right now from the side of FSK. But then Clang's already with a response with a quadra kill.
Yeah, and Clang's same as PXG Radicals right now with 4 total kills. FSK, they will have to run away with the tails between their leg, but Cobra is not gonna let that happen. Monito will be the 3rd victim in the hands of Blacklist International, and now Sharp becomes the last survivor of the team. He is pretty much in the clear, but he will have to play the survival game because Blacklist International, they've just gotten their 5th point.
Yeah, at this point, he just needs to play placements, and that's the only thing he can do. And maybe just pick off other teams that also have holes and doesn't quite get it. Drowns in the waters, and Almighty gets 1 kill. That is just so unfortunate right now. Oh, man. Shark was just trying to get away and just meets another team. That is just bad luck, my friend.
Definitely not his round. Out of the oven into the frying pan. I think that is the saying. I might have just gotten it wrong, but at the end of the day, for Fast QMY, this is I hate saying this, but it feels like this is Fast QMY. They have good games and they have games like these. But at least for round number 1, it's not really their fault. It's more of just their opponents kind of outclassing them in that situation. So this round 1 shouldn't demoralize them too much. But we're seeing a congregation of possibly the best 3 teams right now, excluding SAF, Almighty, Blacklist International, and PXG Radicals, all gathering at peak.
Oh no, this is gonna be terrible if they actually get to go in there. But I think PXG Radicals probably isn't gonna go in for the fight. They're at a very great position right now to go inside. See here, number 1, Blacklist International really picking up all of the points already, and right below them is going to be PXG Radicals, and without any surprise, Almighty as well. So I actually the fight against PXG Radicals, which is really good. So right now they're just staying low. They're chilling. They're going to be able to go in there into the outside, the outskirts of the circle right now, really not engaging for anyone. At this point, it's like I'm not quite sure. This is probably a good idea. You gotta get some kills already, probably by the next circle.
If they go down this path, they might just run into a potential point, right? We have Bloody Hit also kind of limping from the earlier engagements that they encounter. This could be a free kill for Do Easy if they spot. It's going to be the first one on the ground. PXG Radicals now will have to respond to this aggression from Blacklist International. But they do have a bit of an advantage just because of that compound, which Blacklist International will kind of brute force to and try to take over. And knowing Blacklist International, they're not going to give PXG Radicals some space. Barbara is able to bring Tanamo back up, but they need a bit more time. And this is where Raymel's nade might come into good use. They're tossing it through. Almighty on the other side, also taking on a fight against Argon MY. PXG Radicals kind of winning out of screen, but Almighty are in their own world of hurt as Argon MY starts putting out the shots. Batman is isolated. The nades were being thrown in for Argon MY, but Barbar is down and Tanamo is out. Blacklist International slowly taking over. Matrix now joins the party as Ray Meow needs to get the heck out of there.
Metrics with the 3rd party, and probably one of the best things that they can do that. As much as they can actually get the situation and really throw early into the game, that is going to be very unfortunate. Argon, on the other hand, still struggling to actually get a kill, already down 1 person, and this is where the firefight is going to be ensuing. They're going to be taking advantage of that situation where 2 teams are already going at it.
And Pedro is going to be trying to go for that ring around Rosie against Batman. He gets him down, and off screen just now when PXG Radicals ran away, Matrix joins the fight. SAF becomes the 4th party to clash this whole gathering that they were not invited to. So we're seeing a lot of kills on that kill feed, but Pedro is blacklist though because SAF with that intervention takes out Blacklist International, backs themselves 5 kills, and they're looking for more, and they're running straight into the circle. PXG Radicals wounded from the early fight. Almighty not looking too good. Wheels out in the hands of Do Easy. This might feel like an SAF game at this point.
Yeah, and I think they're the only team that has still 4 people to their name. That is absolutely just crazy. And honestly, we really saw that coming. But another team that's actually doing a really good job. But actually, Do Easy has a 4-stack of their own already. And now, speaking of, Almighty is already struggling with Ren going down slowly but surely, and Saf having a really good sight on every single one of them. PXG Radicals eliminated, and Do Easy's actually on fire.
Early on, they did not engage PXG Radicals, and they were able to clean up the job. So, like you mentioned, like you pointed out rightfully, great shot calling from Do Easy, and they reap the rewards. But we see SAF, they're just piling on to the last member of Bloody Hate, as Almighty also bites the dust. Do Easy and SAF feels like 3 teams. It's Argon and Y, Do Easy and Saf.
Saf is at a very prime position, but then IPAN already having that triple kill is going to be very impressive. They need to really just approach this very smartly. Saf eliminated with a triple kill! What? Do Easy is absolutely cracked! What did we just see here?
And with that, I think they might be able to clean this up. 10 kills to their name. We doubted them from the start. We questioned whether Do Easy can do it, and they do just that. Argon and Y goes down, and Do Easy backs that first booyah. 30-point gap, no more, because they are catching up.
Do Easy with a god nade. Oh my booyah. Do Easy with a well-deserved booyah to really just pop things off here. That was just absolutely crazy. If you asked me who is gonna win this, Do Easy wasn't even gonna be on my list. Okay, probably 5th on the list to actually get the first booyah. But you know what? Bayad Ipan, Xia, Anga, and Ayid is just absolutely crazy for this round. And I'm just trying to recover from that amazing nade here, Husky.
Yeah, and just one nade to end it all. And I think our host would have a lot of thoughts about it, because I don't think Do Easy is also on the list to win the opening round of the mid-league shuffle. So let's welcome them back, Danilee and Holler, because I really want to hear what they have to say about round number 1. I can see Danilee.
Look at Danny's face.
Danny's face is not normal.
No, it's just, my face is not normal. Wow, thank you. So before the grenade even happened, I was looking at Do Easy's score and I was thinking, hello, Do Easy, where have you been my whole life? And then the grenade happened and
There it is.
So Do Easy's a team that every play day, they average about 25 points an entire day. Okay, I think they just got their allotment of points in that one game where they're at least minimum 10 kills. I lost track. I don't even know it towards the end, plus the booyah on top of that. And these guys can go home. I think they've done their allotment. They've got all the points that they normally get, and now it's time. That's it.
They finished the ROI, so they can pack up, the call it a day. But that all only happened because of what B-Mommy pointed out mid-game. They dodged PXG Radicals, and that was how they kind of won the game at the very end. Just one small decision, giving Do Easy such a great opening. And I was just saying that Do Easy, they are a hit or miss, but so far in Season 2, they have been missing every shot. I guess I have to eat my words again. No, it's not my first rodeo, but I'm starting to not like it. These teams are doing me very dirty.
Which is odd, because normally when you compliment the team and you ride the bandwagon, that you tend to just kind of lower them down in terms of the standings there. But this is one where, I think we've all been consistently like, hey, Do Easy, not a great team right now. They have a lot of growth and they need to kind of just pick it up or whatever. And today's a new day. Apparently, the second half of Season 2 is where you needed to be. And Do Easy, they looked like a very strong team, eliminating all the powerhouses.
But I think the question here is this going to be the new Do Easy, right? It could just be a case of Do Easy having a really good game. Maybe Do Easy go back to the usual Do Easy style that we've seen up until this point. But I think it's really going to come down to game 2. Now, I think it was Beef Mommy, you were talking about how the teams, they haven't up until this point really been respecting grenades. I have to ask you in the case of SAF, I'm not sure if it was just me. Did SAF just look like they were completely caught off guard with that grenade? Because they did not move behind that glue wall.
Most definitely. It's like at this point, you wouldn't really know when a grenade would hit you. And we keep talking about it. PXG Radicals would always use those grenade fights. And for DC to actually use that to their advantage, it only took one to get rid of a SAF, just like that. So the importance of using your utilities at the right moment. And even though they were at a disadvantage of being downhill, it doesn't matter. They just did it to perfection. And I'm glad they were able to pull through with the first booyah.
And I think early on, I also had this minor conversation with Bimami during the game where we were talking about SAF and PXG Radicals. SAF being the team still in the first place. Obviously, they are the best team so far, but I feel like PXG Radicals overall might have an edge, specifically because they picked up Ramiel. Season 1, he was in VPH Velocity. Everyone looked at his debut, I think, mid-league, and he was immediately crowned as the Wonder Child. And PXG Radicals picked him up, and now he is kind of like the murderer in Hollow's mind. So I want to get B-Mommy's thought on that, since both teams are from the Philippines. Do you think that it could be true that PXG Radicals overall might have an edge over SAF, or it's just, SAF are just still the better team?
Well, SAF has always been that number one team in the Philippines. PXG Radicals wasn't even top 2, probably was in the top 5, but they're a different team now. We've been seeing a lot of great highlights from their end, and what I said a while ago, their usage of the grenades is absolutely crazy. Ramiel and Tanamo really having a lot of those kills. They did win one where I think it was Ramiel who threw 5 grenades. 5 straight grenades to the team, unfortunately, really just winning that booyah. And for us to see Do Easy do the same thing, this is where we're going to see teams hopefully do the same thing.
I don't think we'll see another grenade like that. That was clearly a clear highlight there, with Bayats getting a triple kill on SAF at that pivotal moment, just completely just changing up the game. And it was like in direct counter to what Husky was saying, because Husky was like, oh yeah, SAF are here, this looks like it's their game or whatever, and I think I was completely on board with that, right? Because I thought that SAF was just going to roll over, the other teams are just kind of going to give it up, but Do Easy at the end of the day, they're like, no, I still got this Kobe grenade, I'm going to throw this one up there and just toss it out, and it was an amazing grenade, just an amazing play.
I think this is the time for me to play the devil's advocate. Yeah, Do Easy got game 1, but can they continue that? So far we haven't seen consistency from Do Easy. I'm not saying that the grand opening was not good enough. I am super impressed, but now I want to see more. They made me hungry. They got me excited for more. Like, if they don't deliver that, I'm gonna be pretty disappointed by the end of the day. So Do Easy, they better step up. They've shown me something great. Now I want more of that.
I'm kind of hoping we see that as one of our new highlights. You know how before we start the show, we've got all the highlights up until this point of time? I think that has to join our Hall of Fame. Like, best grenade ever. Easily.
So good.
Yeah,
All right.
for sure. I feel like I think the MVP here might not be the teams, but the actual observer that stuck to him this whole time, really just giving insight. That was just so amazing. I'm glad we got to cast it. I'm glad everyone got to see it. But yeah, Danny, that is such an amazing moment.
All right, team. So we are going to be jumping onto Kalahari as our next matchup. Now, we all know that this is a vastly different map compared to Bermuda. Bermuda, rather flat, whereas you got Kalahari, lots of vertical surfaces. It's a huge map, and there's not as much cover to play with. Are there any teams that we're really going to have to keep an eye on in terms of their performances on Kalahari?
I think for Kalahari, Blacklist International is going to be playing, so it's kind of their playground. But I feel like after watching the first 3 weeks, I kind of want to change my stance on that. I don't think it is Blacklist International's map anymore. I feel that it is kind of a free-for-all at this point. That there's no one dominant team on Kalahari. It's just my thought, because I really think that with how the games have been, I did not see a team that is like extremely good on that map. Only a team that has good control of that high ground, and it could be any team.
So do you think it's more luck-based more than anything else? And like just making sure that you get that right drop, you get the right terrain that you kind of need? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's just rotations. I think you can like drop, let's say, Refinery, right? That is like the classic place to hold a high ground. You can drop Refinery, but the high ground in Kalahari is really influenced by the circle. Like the circle moves away, you gotta drop out from Refinery, and a lot of issues that we saw from season 1 was that there was a team called AB Ligers from the Philippines. They really love Refinery, but when the circle moves away, they all just jump to the deaths because they have nowhere else to go. We don't see that as often, but it will still come down to the rotations and decision making.
Right. Now we've got the round
Well, if we're
standings.
looking at the round standings here, I mean, Do Easy, we talked about their daily average, which is 25 points. They end up getting 25 in that one match alone. Supreme Assault Forces with an 8-8, kind of splitting that one out. And Blacklist International, no stranger to the top 5, I would say, and scoring out 12 points, even though they only got 3 placement points. But Blacklist International, Beef Mommy, talk to us a little bit about this team and just how aggressive they were.
Oh yeah, they've been going at it, and really, they were the kill leaders for a majority of the matchup, but then sadly, they just got third party and fourth party the house down. So that's just really unfortunate for them, because basically, they got bit in the butt, and they kind of deserve that, just because they weren't really careful at the late game. And with a team like Blacklist International going into Kalahari, definitely is going to be really interesting, because we thought that they were going to be absolutely dominating here, but you know what? It's the best teams. It's the best of the best, and most definitely they're gonna have a hard time. So like what you guys have been saying this whole time, Kalahari is a map that everyone and like what Husky said, AV Ligers was the team to really shine on that. So I feel like this is going to be the fight for Refinery, because if you are going to be having that verticality, you best believe you're going to win a lot of the gunfights.
The two teams have been really liking Refinery, if I remember correctly. I think the first one is Do Easy, the second one is Almighty. So I'm definitely going to be looking at these two teams, because if they don't fight for Refinery, I don't know who else is going to be. I think Wills also loves that area. So we're going to have a pretty interesting clash if these 3 teams decide to go to that area.
That's true. Now, Hula, I want to ask you, who are you thinking is going to have a good time in Kalahari today? Like, who do you think is going to get the booyah?
I'm still going to ride this Blacklist International train. I think that it's still top team, and they've done consistently well, right? That's the biggest thing, is that, yeah, sometimes they've had some bad games, but I think that every team has had that, right? And so it's just a matter of them just continuing to just keep it consistent and making sure that they get their points. I think that Blacklist International will be calling their names in the later part of the game.
All right, I'm going to put my money onto Freedom Rumble, and I'm going to pass the mic to our casters to take over for game 2 of our first series of the day. Beef Mommy and Husky, take it away and let us know who are you rooting for.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction to us again, but we are going to be heading over right now to Kalahari in the sandy dunes, and let's see what is going to happen. Settling, but for me, I feel like I want to root for a team that hasn't been showing up just because of the banger that we had in our first matchup. So I think I want to, because I know they can pop off within the right situation. But how about for you, Husky?
I'm actually looking at Almighty, but I do agree with Wills as well, because I feel like Wills is a team that like I support. Like I will always start the day telling myself that, yeah, Will has this, on lockdown. They're gonna win a couple of games, and then halfway through the game, I would just change my predictions, because Wills, they don't really show up in the way that I wanted to. Probably expectations misplaced on my part, but I think Almighty would probably have a better chance. The first half wasn't the best for them, and I think the reputation of Almighty, based on the fact that 3 of the members are from X Divinity, there's a lot of image right there, a lot of legacy that these guys have to carry on, and I just really want to see them step up. But Wills, they're gonna start things off on a very good note. They take out the whole of metrics, and I guess your prediction is starting off on a very good note.
Yeah, and here we go. And it's that one team member of Wills that we always just like to look out for, and it's going to be Embelor. If that guy pops off, that is going to be trouble. But they paid a price. They already have 2 people down, and Embelor and Aoki is going to be the only people left here. I feel like there's going to be a reshuffle in their team as well. So I'm interested to see how everyone really gets to play together. And you know what? Freedom Rumble has always been in that middle ground. They haven't really found much light, and especially going into that 9th spot, there's a lot of pressure on them to really perform, because if they perform poorly here in day 7, that's not going to be good for them.
Yeah, definitely not. We've always put Freedom Rumble ahead of their kind of the Malaysian doppelganger, Fast Q and Y, but Fast Q and Y, they pulled ahead so fast and so far that they are now in 6th place, and Freedom Rumble, they're left to bite the dust. Enigmax, they're only going to play Kalahari with 3 members, so this is gonna kind of be a default handicap that these guys have to deal with, on top of the fact that they're considered one of the weakest, probably the weakest team in the entire league. So it's not going to get any easier. They are in the vicinity of Bloody Hit, which probably is not too scary as a team, but still, playing with 2 members is not a good start.
Yeah, definitely. Now, this is going to be very unfortunate to see just because of they really need to rack up all the points. So hopefully they get to play a little bit more smart just because of they are down one person, and having one person down will really be a disadvantage. And going up against Bloody Heads, it's a little bit of a 50-50 situation because they can really do so well or so poorly. Again, we need to see consistency here. And with Bloody Heads, they seem to be like they're having such a hard time with that. EMX, on the other hand, they're having a very hard time with really just getting a lot of these points. So Enigmax, with a really tough spot here to really just bring down the points, they need to basically get a miracle for them to really just rack it up.
And it seems like they're starting it off in a pretty decent manner. Slumber 2, he's gonna get the first kill, I believe, onto Mark. So Bloody Head, they're now down to just 3 guys. So the whole playing field has been level. It's 3 versus 3. It can be anyone's game. Command post is where Bloody Head likes to plant themselves as long as they can on Kalahari. It feels like they want to control the entire base, but Enigmax, it seems like they're making the decision to just settle for that one pickoff and kind of pull back a bit, with Slumber being that overwatch for the team.
And that was a good trade. That was a really good thing to do. They don't want to be too aggressive, not too careless. And that's what we like to see from Enigmax. And Bloody Heads, we need to see what kind of the response that they want to do. And it's a good thing. They're not going to be engaging as well. Both of these teams on the passive approach. And Enigmax seem to be like they're just going to run away for their life. Or either that, or they're going to be repositioning themselves to go in for the kill. Not quite sure what they're going to be planning though, but it's a good thing they're sticking together as a team just because of how well you can actually get picked off. But speaking of, on the right side of the map, you can see Almighty's actually going to be there. I feel like this is going to be another story of the third party yet again.
I wonder if Almighty will stick their nose in. So far, they haven't made that move just yet, and I think if they hear any gunshots, maybe they will consider otherwise. But Enigmax, they have decided to take on Bloody Head, and they definitely want to win this, especially when they're in the last place. They don't really have much to lose. But if you can mess up other teams' chances, then why not go for it? I think EMX, they have that on their mind, and now going in for the push into Bloody Head. And like you said, Bloody Head, they have not been doing the best. They struggle a lot. And this is their chance to prove themselves that maybe they can turn that franchise around. Black doesn't check the corner, but Slumber is here to get that refrag. So at least there's a 1-for-1 trade. But Bloody Head, let's see if they can win this out. Mountains down Slumber and EMX. They're going to be eliminated on the back of just one great play from this member of Bloody Head. Morgana doesn't even die, and Bloody Head will wipe out Enigmax.
You know what? My face right now is basically Saitama, what you see in face. Why would you go in there all alone without even checking your corners? You're basically just asking for it. They could have even entered there as a whole team, but no. Enigmax just dropped the opportunity of getting that frag and really evening things out, but no. They decided to commit, but the play was just not right.
Yeah, it's a bit of a poor decision from Enigmax that ended in catastrophe. Definitely bit out more than they can chew. But I agree, could have went in there with more than just one guy, and not checking that very corner was their downfall. And with that being said, EMX, they're out of round number 2. Bloody Head lives on after suffering one casualty. Not too bad compared to round number 1. At least they got a couple of kills on the board. But Oregon and Y was a team that we didn't get to put much spotlight on. Round 1, they actually, ended in, I believe, 3rd or 4th place. Not really sure about the kills that they got. But either way, they had a pretty good start. And I'm excited to see if they can get more out of this. Freedom Rumble, though, they're kind of on the run away from Council Hall. Barely made it into the circle. Is where they are going to plant their foot down and just anchor themselves for a while.
And you mentioned a while ago, Argon has been a team that has been struggling, but I like to see the growth that they've been having. And they were at a time the bottom team of the pack. So for them to actually go like 3 tiers higher, that is going to be impressive. But they need to do a lot more if they want to break into that top 10. You have like Do Easy, Bloody Head, Metrics, but with the way that Bloody Head has been performing, it has been very impressive. So they're definitely going to be racking up all of those points already. Freedom Rumble, on the other hand, ninth spot, we keep saying that. It's because they've been in a little bit of a pickle. They seem to be like they are having a hard time into advancing into certain situations. So with having 2 booyahs to your name, yeah, that's going to be a win, but you need to play smart as well. Even if you don't have a booyah, you need to play for all of your kills. You see Blacklist 2 booyahs already to their name, but they frag out so many times, and they place each other. They place themselves high enough for just to get those placement points.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for Argon MY, they only had one day where they, I think it was during week 2 where they had this breakup performance, like 2 booyah, not 2 booyah, but like 2 top 3 finishes. They haven't gotten a single booyah just yet, but that was the only day that Argon MY really had any sort of showing. But I definitely share the same sentiment. They moved up 3 tiers. That is pretty good, but they need to do a bit more than that. You look at Argon MY, 135 points. And you compare it to Bloody Head, which is 178. It's a lot of gap to close. But speaking about closing the gap, Do Easy, they're only 18 points away. They've effectively almost half the deficit that they had before the start of the day. So now Do Easy, they definitely need to show us that they can close the gap even more in this game. But before they get to touch Bloody Head, Almighty, they are already at the command post, on the outskirts of command post.
Speaking of closing the gap, we're seeing Bloody Heads right now versus Almighty. Now, this is going to be very difficult for Bloody Head just because you only have 3 members left to your team. Now, but then again, Do Easy is also going to be there as well. Oh no, this is not going to be a type of situation that you want to get yourself into. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Saf is here for payback. Do Easy ruined their chances of a booyah. That was supposed to be the 7th win, but Do Easy just had to spoil that. But each of these players, they play for their own. Saf wants to play for that constant first placing. Do Easy wants to play for the qualification. If there's any chance for Saf to get revenge, it is now. But Saf, they're pulled back. So Do Easy, so far, still in the clear. At least they don't have to worry about Supreme Assault Force.
Yeah, and it was actually smart for them to actually go and back away from the situation, knowing very well they might not win that. But that's honestly, I'm pretty surprised that Saf didn't really engage. Very unlike them to go in there. And I feel like from the side of Bloody Heads, that was probably one of the best things that could happen to them, because that would have been a really bad spot to be in. Do Easy as well, having that backstab. So again, I feel like that would have been like free kills for the side of Saf just because Do Easy didn't quite know that they were there. But here we go, a very tricky situation right now. But as fast as that, we're going to be seeing Fast Kill right now going up against Argon, going a lot of those shots, but getting that. Yoon is going to be getting one person down. Seems to be like he wants to go in for the takedown.
The worst spot for Argon MI to be in, with a freeway in the middle and just open ground Kalahari. The moment they exit from that building, it's going to be, for Fast Kill at least, it's going to be shooting ducks shooting fish in a barrel. So it's pretty hard for Argon MY to do anything. They will have to kind of set up for that. You can say the same for Wheels and Berlor. He's down due to the play zone. They're actually pretty far away from the actual circle, whereas Fast Kill and Y, they're going to take this opportunity to loot up the rest of the area and possibly gatekeep a few more teams if there's any. And they also found themselves a vehicle, so this is very... Considering how round 1 went for them, they're going to be feeling pretty happy with round 2 so far.
Yeah, Fast Kill doing a lot of things right already going into this early game. And now with the UAV on their side as well, they are going to be having a little bit of guidance already going in there, and maybe even going in for an early position into the circle. And that's what we need to see from Fast Kill. We already know that this is a team that has been absolutely been cracked in certain situations. And I think they might go and meet another team as well, Argon. But I'm not quite sure if they're going to be engaging though.
Yeah, PSG Insanity felt like they receive a bit of punishment. It could be from Freedom Rumble. Most likely from Freedom Rumble. Ray Meow and Insanity, they were both kind of injured. They patched themselves up around Stone Ridge. They're gonna move away. But for Fast MY, they still are not done just yet. In fact, they want more, and that is how Monito got punished by Ember Lore, as Wheels were able to kind of sneak a couple of shots in and kind of take down that member. And it's going to slow them down for a bit, but PXG Radicals about to amp the ante up because Freedom Rumble have to go through them, and this is the best chance for PXG to get a couple of points.
PXG looks like they're in a really good spot right now, but Barba taking shots already, going down, and Insanity needs to go in there for the pickup as well. Barba is going to be eliminated. Vegeta finally puts the nail in the coffin. They need to make this work out. PXG Radicals are actually quite struggling. Insanity goes down as well. Raymail is going to be the only person that can actually go in there with a certain spot. Tanamo finally gets one as well. They need to go intensively, and it seems like the utilities aren't going to be in their favor. You can see the grenades. Usually they have a lot in their favor, but no, at this time, Freedom Rumble, though, eliminated. What? Oh no, Almighty is actually third-partying it.
I mean, Tanamo did all the hard work. He won a 1 versus 3, and Almighty just came in here to clean up. But on the other side of the map, it's going to be Saf. Forbis getting a couple of kills for himself. Shark is going to be the victim as Fasco and Y. The numbers start to dwindle down to just 2 survivors. With Oregon and Y caught in between of this crossfire, things are not looking good at all. PXG Radicals, they might have escaped thanks to Almighty, but they are also left with 2 survivors. But Glory for today into that watchtower doesn't really connect. So far, the rest of Argon and Y just holding hands and hugging each other, sharing their body warmth to survive as long as they can. Saf, they can afford to kind of rotate away. There's bigger fishes in the sea, and it's going to be PXG Radicals being buried by both Almighty and Saf.
Wow, what an amazing opener, and Saf really wants to have vengeance. They have a full squad. They can actually go and do this. Blacklist International, they'll also have a full squad of their own. It seems to be like all of these teams are actually struggling right now to get into position. Argon is going to be eliminated already. Triple kill right now from Ali. Oh, that's going to be very interesting. Jay-Z as well gets that kill, gets rid of 4-bit. So one more person down right now from the side of Saf. It's going to be proving a little bit difficult for them. Blacklist, though, they're going to be chilling here. They are at a very nice spot, but just what we saw in Saf, they might be eliminated just like that. And speaking of, they are going down like flies. One more person. Phoenix is going to be the only guy that can actually save his team.
Yeah, it might be Bloody Head making it happen. ZJ is down, but you still have Mouse left alive for Bloody Head. And Phoenix is gonna try and play the survival game. This place is way too crowded for 7 different squads, and these guys know it. They need to thin out the numbers, but no one wants to give up without a fight. Blacklist International certainly is that team. Cobra and Climbs, they both get picked back up, so they still have 3 men throughout all of that chaos. Not so lucky for Wheels, though. They're already out as Forbes continues to amp up the pressure. Backstab coming out. Cobra was able to down both. They found that member of Bloody Head, as Bloody Head now down to just, I believe, 1 last member. McGrory gets a nade onto iPads. This is just pure pandemonium in this small congested area. Do easy with 3 guys with Almighty in their crosshairs, but Almighty, they are looking pretty strong.
McRory finally gets the revenge that he wanted, and he eliminates Too Easy with what? A grenade. No, actually, no, he doesn't. He actually eliminates another team. Too Easy is going to be a little bit stronger. Bayets, on the other hand, was actually able to eliminate Wills with a grenade as well. So a really great utilization right now of all of your grenades, and you just need to stock it up. But it seems to be like they're missing it just a little bit. So right now for Too Easy, they just need to do what they need to do and to just sit back, relax, and let the other teams just take out one another.
This is getting a bit too close for comfort. You know, you can feel your opponents breathing beside you, and Jembao definitely is going to be the first one to pull the trigger onto 4-bits. Too Easy wants to take the shot, but Batman with the grenade launcher is going to take out 2 members from Too Easy. Bayet now is the last man alive. He was the guy to end the Sav's run, but Almighty would do the job because Blacklist International also got caught the crossfire. Phoenix fights Batman and Almighty down to this rank, but they already have 10 kills. They can just try to play the survival game and go for more. The circle's gonna close down to the very end. Almighty dies, and Blacklist International somehow, through all of
thing because 2 members were already going down, Cobra, and he was basically bleeding out, and Phoenix was in that little corner where he had a glue wall protecting him, and there was basically the zone right there. So that little air pocket that he had to be able to be the superhero that he was basically just got them the W.
I feel like sometimes in these kind of final circle where you have like 5-6 teams and 20 different members, whoever gets the booyah is definitely going to feel a big sigh of relief because everything feels like a 50-50, at least to me. It's like a coin flip. Everyone runs out. If you get hit by a stray bullet, then it's too bad for you. But I still cannot get over how Blacklist International managed to survive through all of that because we actually lost sight of them. We were looking at a bias from Do Easy. We were looking at Almighty just slaughtering everyone. And I thought at one point, Almighty, they got this. But somehow Blacklist International pulled through. And I just feel like it was an incredible round.
I think it'd be pretty interesting to see who does get first place, considering that we have to take into consideration kill points, right? There were a lot of kills happening in that final circle. But while we wait for that, I kind of want to ask all of you, how are you feeling about these groups now? Because we've already started with 2 games from groups A and B. Is there anything that really stands out? Because so far, I have to say, I'm really surprised that SAF, they've been very
pretty big over the past 2 rounds. I think the first round wasn't really the best, but second round they showed up with 10 kills towards the very end. They didn't get the booyah, but they had pretty good showing, right? Those were pretty decent numbers. So again, they are also another team that I said, they had a lot of legacy that had to carry forward from the eras of Divinity. They come out and they get 10 kills in second place. At this point, I'm convinced that I have refined my ability to just reverse curse the team. So yes, Almighty, props to them. They really show a lot of growth.
Yeah, and I think Batman is just turned it up, right? I think he had about 7 or so kills. He just whipped out that grenade launcher from his toolkit and he just started destroying everybody here. And if you're looking at it here, this is exactly what I'm talking about, right? Sometimes you don't have to get the booyahs to get the most amount of points. And Almighty scoring 10 kills with 7 from Batman himself. You're going to get top scores here. Blacklist International did get second place, even though they did get the booyah. Supreme Assault Forces. And as poorly as they've been doing, I think they were second place in the last match and the third place in this one. They're still doing something right.
Yeah, I think for Fast Kill, they did pretty decent, 11 points. And then I look at Freedom Rumble, only 2 points so far. They are the second team to get knocked. Starting to see a change in roles. Fast Kill are now playing like the Freedom Rumble we know, and Freedom Rumble, they are slowly kind of lagging behind.
Yeah, it seems like some of the teams need to just kind of pick it up. Like PXG, sorry to cut you off, Danny. PXG is like one of those teams where we do see them in the kill feed. They're getting in the action, but it seems like they're not really able to score points or even in placement or kill. Place, Beef? What do you think?
Yeah, it's just a matter of placing yourselves really well. And in that certain moment, I don't think they could have placed themselves any other way. It's just a matter of the timing, especially with the reshuffle. I remember you guys were asking, how are Group A and Group B really just interacting with each other? And I feel like this is a more evenly matched group. So again, it's a really nice thing to see that different teams are actually stepping up and getting those booyahs.
And just a reminder to everyone at home, we are going to be giving away some codes for some free goodies. So be sure to stay tuned because once we give those out, they're available until the end of the stream. So everyone can claim it. Make sure you share the code. It's not first come, first serve. Once the code is out, share it to everybody because as soon as the stream ends, that code is gone as well. Okay, it is elusive as it is free. As free things normally are nowadays. It's very hard to find free things.
All right, so we saw Group A, Group B. I think that was a bit of a mix in terms of just the overall. I mean, the top 5 teams are still playing well. I don't think that needs to be anything different. Do Easy kind of stepped it up, but now it's going to be with Group B versus Group C. And in terms of Group C, do you see any differences? Any teams that are going to really pick this one up, Husky?
Yeah, you're gonna hate me for this, but I think Tactical Intex can still do it. Tactical Intex and a 4X-Man Expert. I'm looking at these 2 teams to really put up a good performance later on.
All right, what about you, Beef?
Well, definitely for X-Men Expert, they've been showing it up in the past few weeks. But you know what? We can't deny AKO Legend. There's a reason why they're in that top 3 spot. So they can definitely go and deliver Group B and C. I want to see what's going to be going down. And SAF being essentially the team that we thought that was going to deliver is not doing so. So a lot of things into consideration. Group C might actually be the kryptonite of Group B.
Well, we will find out in just a moment, but before then, the players are jumping into the lobby. Our next matchup is going to be B versus C, but before then, we need a break, and of course, you need a break as well. So make sure you go to the toilet, grab your snacks, because once we're returning, we're going to jump into our next matchup, Group B versus Group C. See you after this.
Do Easy is next on the chopping block, and it seems like Basket and White, they know where Do Easy is. Jembao, oh boy, no, shows his.
I'm just torn in between, man. I want both of those squads to get the best out of the equation. Backlist International now. Cobra takes Fade out of the equation, or to the very least knocks him down onto the ground. Cobra needs to be very careful. So 7 HP left, and he goes in for the slice.
God almighty! And Matrix, at least they do some damage, but it might be enough. Matrix now, they'll be under fire. Fascio and White coming through, Almighty chipping in. Matrix will go down eventually as they took a very unfavorable fight. But Fascio and White not done yet. Look at that, 11 kills. Bow also this extra points for Matrix. They're gonna be happy with that. AKO Legend's gonna be the next one to go down as Ray Miao fights an easy leg shot. But he ran. Almighty suffered. Extra casualty, DXG Radicals now.
SAF, and they don't really have much of a compound here. They have to expend each and every single one of those blue walls. But McRory taking those shots, pops his time turner as well. Beautiful nade down. Monarch gets caught off guard, and that bounce off of the tree was absolute perfection from McRory.
Apa kabar, Free Fire? Selamat datang. Survivors, saya perlukan sokongan. Carikan kunci. Keluarkan saya dari sini.
welcome back to the MCP Major Season 2. We've just concluded our first matchup of the day. It was A versus B. And now Group A, they're going to go for a little bit of a break. They can sit back and relax because Group B, they got to keep their engine going. They're going to be going against Group C. Paula, I know you were very excited about this next matchup because it's SAF. They've been playing yet again. They've been a little on the lower end, I guess, in terms of performance. Maybe they set out expectations too high after their fantastic opening for the season. But how do you think they're going to fare versus Group C?
Well, Group C had two of the top five make it in terms of the reshuffle, right? 4X-Men Expert, they were 5th place. AKO Legend, they're the 3rd place team right now. So these are two very strong teams. If we're looking at the overall standings here, again, just, tactical index, they were one of the highest scoring teams of day 6, excuse me. They had 43 points. 4X-Men Expert, they had 48 points the last time. These are two top teams of Group C that you need to be careful of, in addition to, of course, AKO Legend, which we can see right now is going to be in that 3rd place there. Supreme Assault Forces, this is the last 2 matches. You talk a little bit about performance in terms of maybe they weren't so great or whatever, but they still scored, I think, 3rd place, 2nd place in the last 2. So in terms of points, they've managed to finagle their way and getting some sort of points and cushioning that lead, so to speak. So they've been doing quite well in that sense. But if we're looking at the rest of Group C, you got Cannot X Brain, you got Umbrella Reborn, and you got Zeth Squad, right? And if you want to know where those guys are, you got to look from 15th, and below, pretty much 14th, 15th, and 18th, right? This is a group that is. So, Danny, what are your thoughts so far?
I mean, for me, I've got my eyes on AKO Legends because, of course, this is their time to start accumulating points because they haven't been able to play up until now. This is their first matchup, and they have to compete against SAF for these points as well. So I'm just wondering, is this going to be a time where it's SAF's time to shine, or is this going to be where AKO asserts their dominance and say, okay, we're going to also deny you points because you had a really tough first 2 games. So if anything, I really want to see AKO do well because I think the last week we saw AKO, they were very underwhelming, a bit disappointing as well because I was pretty impressed with how they played for the first 4 play days. It was just days 5 and 6. It had me worried. I was thinking, wait, is that it? is there not anything more?
And I look at it, I mean, it's one of those things where SAF will always be one of the brightest stars, right? No matter what's going on, whatever the other teams do, SAF will still manage to have that shine, and you can't really take that away. They have proven time and time again that, yes, they might have like one bad day, but it's so rare that it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. Right? Their consistency is quite high, and then you're seeing them at the top because of this, because they're able to get those points no matter what. So it's like, in the sense of like you're at a party or whatever, it's the hot girl or guy in the room. It might not be for that, party for that person, but they're always there, and they're kind of, okay, maybe I'm going a little too deep with these analogies, but you get my point in the sense that they will shine.
Realistically speaking, I don't get your point because I never went to parties. I was the homebody.
All right, sorry.
It's okay. Well, I guess I know what you did when you were growing up. Anyways, so first map's going to be Bermuda for Group B versus C. Now, I do feel like the first map for Group B in terms of SAF, I feel like they would have had a better time in that game if they didn't just get blown up by one single grenade. I do feel like today we still are going to see SAF show their true colors. It's just, I'm wondering if it's going to be another case of, I wouldn't say it's RNG, I guess, because the first time it was a tactical grenade. But if they see these grenades coming, I feel like SAF would do a lot better. Because I think for a lot of these teams are really just getting caught off guard with grenades in general.
But that's the thing, right? Like, you have to have a highlight level grenade to stop SAF from winning. Right? That's the kind of level of play that you need to do. And SAF, they're so tactical. They're very smart with their positioning that, hey, if they're going to throw that miracle, they get that Kobe shot, then, I mean, that's, you know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm unlucky that one. But, you know what I mean? Like, that's what the level of play that we're talking about. SAF just still managed to get those points. This is a very, very scary team going into this Group B versus C matchup.
Yeah, actually, grenades themselves that are basically the mechanic that's really changing things, or this is just a theory, is it only working out because teams have started to group up more behind 1 and 2 glue walls?
I think a little bit of both, as weird as this might sound, because of the fact that, like, the teams are playing for the late game. So they're holding off their utility and making sure that they have it for when those glue walls do happen. So I feel like it's a little bit of both. They're kind of preparing themselves. It is definitely becoming part of the meta in that sense. But that said, let's go into Group B versus Group C. This is going to be Bermuda, Beef Mommy, and Husky. Please take it away.
Yes, Group B and Group C about to kick off, and Bimami, you know what they say, Aristotle once told everyone that lightning doesn't strike twice, but apparently he is wrong about it because SAF lost both their games due to explosions, first in the hands of Do Easy and afterwards in the hands of Almighty. And of course, I'm also wrong about it. Aristotle did not say that, but I know it's a quote. I just can't remember who
I knew it. I knew it was almost like thinking in my and that way, hold on. But you know what? A great man once said, I know. But you know what? A wise man once said that you need to go in for the early rotations just so you can actually win the positions. I'm pretty sure that was Abraham Lincoln that actually said that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is as well. You know, like obviously it's not John F. Kennedy because he didn't do it well. But I'm going a bit too off tangent. You know, like I feel I'm more of a historical guy at this point. But Bermuda once more, Group B and C, AKO Legend definitely feels like the team that is in the spotlight. But I want to quickly answer Daniel's inquiry. The trend is going to continue for this game.
Yeah, hopefully the trend is going to be continuing for SAF, and hopefully they get to find the Booyah. But you know what? I do want to play devil's advocate. I don't want them to win at all. I mean, yes, they have been powerful here so far, but other teams have been showing up. And if they've hit a ceiling that they've been basically doing a lot of things so far, it just means a lot of these teams have been doing their homework. So I'm really impressed to see that they're not dominating the whole game, just because it's not going to be that fun to see. But here we go. Seth is going to be going down one early on. Monarch is going to be going down just as fast as that, and that's going to be really good rival for X-Men. Like what we've been saying, they've been showing up already early on.
Yeah, and for X-Men Expert are the new kids on the block. They came into FFMC and they showed up big time. They took on the top dogs and they were able to put up really good results. And it's just a good wonder how far can they go. For Do Easy, on the other hand, they have had a decent game 1. Game 2 was also pretty darn good. Because if we, look at the most recent scoreboard, Do Easy is just 1 point away from tying up with Bloody Hit in 12th place. So if anything, today it might just be their day.
Yeah, absolutely. And like what you said, they did a phenomenal match number 1. And for Kalahari as well, they placed really high enough. So they're not being bullied this time. It's a different Do Easy. And right now, they're changing up their strategy. They're just going up against the coast, really just going away, really being passive, just weaving and bobbing around all of these mountains and places where at Bayats right now. So I'm not really quite sure what their strategy is going to be going down here, and hopefully they get to have good loot, because so far they've dropped in a dead zone.
Yeah, it seems that Bayat it seems like he went for a stroll. Not really sure if he knows that Argon MY is nearby. I assume now, because Argon MY didn't make any noise. But thankfully for Do Easy, they are able to finally group up once more as a team and see where they want to rotate towards. This is definitely not an area that has much resources. So you look at the inventory. IPAN only has 1 grenade and 2 glue walls, no med kits at all. So Do Easy, they need to relocate themselves to get more of that resources. And so far, they're still in the clear, which is always a good news when you start off the game.
Absolutely. And being in the clear is going to be good here so far, but they're a very great spot where they're at the high ground, and one team is going to be right below them. XBR, just like that, might be very difficult as it's just one person there. Like, quite literally, it's just one.
Yeah, and Cannot Brain right now, they are in, the last place. They have temporarily place themselves at the bottom of the barrel, but simply because they have not played a single game so far. This is their first game of the day. They definitely can overtake Enigmax by the end of it. Well, hopefully. But statistically, I would say Cannot Brain is kind of in the same category as Enigmax. They almost have the same placement points. Their kill score is also quite similar. So I would say that mechanically, they definitely don't stand too much of a chance against Bloody Hit. But it seems like Bloody Hits themselves are taking the low road.
Very, very passively, but it just seems to be like right now for the side of Zeph might not be the case, as we're seeing one more person. Argon is going to be right above that hill, but it doesn't seem like they are going to be engaging. So that's probably going to be the smarter bet. They need to get better utilities, because what we've been seeing, a lot of these teams don't have a lot of these guns already early on. But here we go. XBR going to be having a really hard time. Metrics not going to be able to actually get it. I mean, Enigmax perhaps to actually go in there, actually going to be able to go in, really just hide. But the rest of the Enigmax folks really need to go and push in, because it seems to be like a very tricky spot to be in.
And Bloody Hit, they are going to launch the assault. The glue was going to buy a bit of time, and you can see the response from XBR. All of the members of Cannot Brain are quickly pouring in, and they might be able to catch Bloody Hit off guard, but Morgana somehow still finds Aaron, and now they'll turn their attention to the outskirts, the perimeter of this compound. As Cryfu will down Shiro. 2 members of XBR already on the ground. The heck out of there. Mount is down, but it's not going to be out. Bloody Head will just moment as they bring their buddy back up and claim that 3rd point of this skirmish.
Great pickup right then from Maute, and Maute is really going to be one of those people that can actually go and well once given the opportunity. It's always going to be Maute or Morgana that can actually go and clutch up. So for that early pickup, that was a great spot to be in, because to lose a player so early on is going to be very dire for them. Argon seem to be like they're at a very nice spot, because they almost actually were able to go into another spot there. But then, oh, Jay's actually going to be able to get a kill. We're not going to be seeing it then on the feed, though. Hopefully, we get to observe that real quick, because so far we've only been seeing a lot of traveling from a lot of these teams.
And Bloody Hit, they're tracking down the last member of XBR just based on X 4 points. Meanwhile, Argon and Y is still pretty much safe at Pochinok. They have been here since the beginning. They've been able to dodge, I believe, do easy early on. So things are looking pretty good.
Yeah, looking good for a lot of these teams already. And I'm actually pretty surprised that we're not seeing a lot of engagements early on. In the Bermuda, you get to see really fast and aggressive pushes, but I guess that's not going to be the case. And I feel like we've been seeing a lot of really passive plays from a lot of the teams that we've been spectating here so far. Argon, Do Easy, Bloody Heads, always just going in there for the passive approach. And I'm pretty surprised, because you get to see a lot of the engagements early on. So it's no surprise that there's still 11 teams and 40 people still left here, really just fighting to see where they can place themselves really well.
And so far, I think if we are looking for a more aggressive team, definitely the attention is going to have on AKO Legends and perhaps Freedom Rumble. But when we look at the radar for SAF, they're right smack in the middle, surrounded by Metrics, Forestman Expert, and Argon and Y. You have ITX kind of on the northwestern side. SAF, they have a lot on their plate. But knowing them, they probably would lay low and just wait for a team to take them on. Though I'm not sure how safe SAF is going to be despite being in the center.
Absolutely, and if it were going to be another day, maybe SAF can actually take on all of these teams all by themselves. But with how the day is actually going, they've been struggling to really just win those gunfights. So I'm not quite sure if it's going to be the best spot to be in. And yes, you're going to be at the very center of the circle, and early on, you're going to be in a great position. But they shouldn't be a little bit too open, just because you are going to be surrounded by 3 teams already. I mean, yes, we see a lot of these teams really just perform really well, but with SAF, they need to learn from the mistakes that they had 2 rounds ago, and to really just not engage in the fact that they might lose all of those gunfights. But then a really great team as well that we've been seeing perform here so far, which is honestly kind of impressive. Umbrella Reborn, they're at the 16th spot. No booyahs here so far, but seem to be like they're at a really good spot to really just gather all of those kills, especially IPANs with that really big 1K. Hopefully they get to really just hold on to the very end, though.
Yeah, that definitely, it would be great for Umbrella Reborn to put some numbers on the board for sure. UMB, this is their first game. I would say, funny thing about MCP Major for the season is that when we did FFMC, Clock Tower is one of the hot spot. It's like a tourist attraction for all the teams. But so far, not much teams have been liking Clock Tower in MCP Season 2. Maybe it's an adjustment from these teams. Perhaps it's just preferences. But to see Umbrella Reborn taking over that area, it gives me a boost of confidence, because Clock Tower, I feel like, is one of the few places on the map that has a lot of playmaking potential. And it just feels like a safe zone in itself, as long as it's within a circle. They have Freedom Rumble nearby, but even a team like Freedom Rumble will have to be really strategic when approaching this particular place.
You're absolutely right. Tactical Index, that was a really good move for them to actually move into the clock tower. And why? It's because you are at a slope where you have so much sights on a lot of places already. Not only that, you have this cover that we were seeing Zapnu is going to be right at. So you won't get any gunfight from up top in that hill. And you're also going to be getting sights from a lot of basically south, east, and west already. So that's a really good reason why a lot of folks actually go and drop into the clock tower. So hopefully we get to see the circle going in there, but we are going to be taking a look right now at Siux, just really just surveying around the area. And Do Easy seems to be like, if they push in up just a little bit too much, it might be a little bit too much for them to handle.
And Do Easy, if they can pull this off, you better be sure they will 100% be able to take over Bloody Hit in that that leaderboard, UAV has been finally shot down by Tactical Intex. But this might just be sufficient to alert Do Easy of their of where they are. But Do Easy, they are on the low.
The push is already going to be ensuing. I'm not quite sure if I actually like this from the side of Do Easy, just because of how much of a hard thing it is to actually go and push up. I'm quite surprised that Tactical Index actually went outside of the building. Not quite sure why they did that vantage point, but maybe it's because they want to push into the... Maybe that's why, but if they really want to go and push, they need to do it now. But it seems to be like they're actually going into the opposite end of the map, which is going to be great for them. Now, Do Easy is going to be having a hard time, though. They might get gate kept, especially knowing very well that Tactical Index is going to be right there to greet them.
And Umbrella Reborn will have the privilege to greet Freedom Rumble, because FRU, they just got to this area, but this is a part of the town where Umbrella Reborn just have the default advantage. So many angles to play around. iPads on one, on the other. Every single one of these members from UMB felt like snipers, hiding behind a cover and just waiting for FRU to show their hits. As you can see, Drax is going to get into the vehicle and immediately be greeted by a couple of shots from iPads. So Freedom Rumble they are known for a team that likes to siege compounds, and they do it pretty well. But when UMB has all the information, you have to have a contingency plan. And I guess the plan for FRU is just to go from that underground tunnel to pass UMB and see where else they can go. And it's going to be straight into that safe zone.
Straight into the safe zone is what they need to do, just because it's gonna start to hurt already. We are going into the 4th zone already, just like that. And we can see here, everyone's just scrambling. AKO seem to be like they're gonna be greeted by a full stack. That is something that you don't want to actually go in there. They're just gonna be slowly moving past right now, really just being sandwiched by 2 squads already. AKO seem to be like they're having down. Rox and also is going to be the only people left for their team, so not quite sure how they're going to be able to actually go and handle that. They need to play passively. But then, speaking of not playing passively, you know what? I'm pretty impressed with what I'm seeing right now from Umbrella, just because we don't really get to see them on the aggression as per usual, but it seems like they want to have a different approach. So Umbrella Reborn really is making their presence known.
Yeah, but Loser is closing in, and all of these teams are in a world of hurt. Forex-Man Expert will be out as Sav continues their rampage. Forbis, the only guy down, but they were able to bring him back up. Damon will try to loot up as much as he can. Sav so far with 4 kills in the back, as Russell still puts up a couple of numbers on the board despite AKO Legends down to just 2 members. So Sav finally makes it into the clear. They live the fight another day, but Russell, with that exchange early on, will also trade his life in return, leaving Na to be the sole survivor to carry the torch for AKO Legends in this round.
AKO Legends, and it's Nga that's going to be the only person left with 3 people right on top of him. He doesn't have the nade to clear it out, and he's going to be at a very tricky spot, and there we go. AKO Legends are going to be going down. Do Easy, on the other hand, also doing a very hard time. Gemball's going to be the only...
He is under fire from SAF. You know, Saf, they want that payback. Do Easy, but Bayat was the one that cost them that round number 1, but it's gonna be the entirety of Do Easy that pays for their sins. Forbes is not gonna get rushed because Matrix again as the third party. Do Easy is out. SAF, they don't even have time to recover, and they already have to take on a separate team. Matrix needs to use this opportunity to their fullest because they might wipe out SAF as the blue zone closes in. Everyone is starting to feel the pain. This is going to hurt a lot. It's circle number 4, and Let's Go is gonna be on the run. Forbes says no chance, but Glory goes down, and it's gonna be Matrix that takes out the rest of SAF. Once more, they meet an untimely end in the hands of a third party, and once more, SAF will not be able to close out the round.
This is what I keep telling you guys. It's like a different SAF altogether. Yeah, they haven't been having their rhythm lately, and that early exit is just so surprising. They're just going to be going down at 7th place. So with SAF not having their mojo down, it seemed to be like Group C is actually just showing up. We have Zeth, we have Metrics, we also have Argon, we have Bloody Heads, and also Freedom Rumble. So Group B seemed to be like they're actually also showing up. So a lot of these squads already going in there. It seems like Group B as well is actually having a really great time. I think there's only 1 squad from Group C that's still alive.
And I started the broadcast saying that this feels like a buffet for SAF. You know, everyone in Group B felt like easy pickings, but obviously I got slapped in the face because SAF, they knocked out pretty early on. And all the survivors are from Group B. You know, it's not a buffet for SAF, it's a buffet for everyone else. Freedom Rumble with 3 men, they're just gonna drive straight into Argon. And why just look at all those things? They're bouncing through. This is like playing dodgeball as Orin able to avoid all of those utility. He's going in for the rush with the double vectors and a couple of glue walls. He's gonna pay for it. Extra war also goes down. This is just a very chaotic trade inside the dome of the time turner. But Freedom Rumble will not stand. And guess what? It's Argon and Y putting on a show, and they put that first booyah on the board.
This shuffle just absolutely changed the name of the game, and just like the other rounds, I did not expect Argon to have a booyah, but you know what? That's what makes it so interesting. We got me, we got Pedro, we got Sparks, we got Afix. Jeez, they are absolutely crazy. And for the rest of the map, actually, for this one, Husky, they were under the radar for a lot of the time. They were playing really passively, and they went in there inside the circle really well for them to actually go and defend it. And I really like seeing teams who are struggling just absolutely pull up.
And once more is a case where we set up a storyline about a team not, needing to do something, and Argon and Y not having the first booyah. I kind of feel like production is leaking out audio to these teams because they just show up at the exact same moment. Argon and Y bags their first booyah off the league stage. We're gonna bring back both Hollow and Dana Lee because I'm pretty sure no one expected this ending, and I just want to hear what they have to say about this. Welcome back, guys.
Thanks, Oski. I'm just really happy that we're starting to see some new names getting booyahs. Not new, but different names. Like, out with the old, okay? We don't care about the teams at the top of the bracket. We want to get some of those points towards the lower end of the bracket. This is actually going to be really exciting because some teams are going to be making a really big climb today.
Argon, Malaysia. We have not really talked much about them since maybe day 2 of the league. This is their first booyah. I don't think anyone really expected that one. And I'm sick of talking about SAF. But the thing is that you kind of bring up the point of how SAF are, they got eliminated early or whatever, but they still got 7 kills, right? That's the consistency that we're talking about. The mechanical skills of being able to get points other ways and placements, which can be a little random. And if we're going to look at the Argon one, I think that it was a little lucky for them, and it was random for them to just get in there. But, I mean, this is how SAF has been able to do it. They still managed to get, I think, 11 points, even with four placements points. So they're playing it smart, but it's very interesting to see this shakeup and seeing new teams at the top. And this is the Bloody Head ones. This is a pretty nice little fight like here. Do you remember this one? Husky.
Yeah, they completely just overran. I believe it was for what team was that? Was it Zev Squad? I think it was, right? They completely overran them from the very beginning. No, it was Cannot Brain. It was Cannot Brain. Yeah, it was XBR. But just quickly on the point of SAF, they have. If you look at the placement points and their kill score is 185 placement points and 180 kill score. So only 5 points separates those two categories. It's just consistency at its finest. You knock them out early and they somehow still get a lead. But this round overall, I would say Argon and Y, they definitely got a bit lucky with the circle. Predators, Freedom Rumble, they were in there. SAF were there at 1 point. But Argon and Y, they were not really on my list.
Beef, I wanted to ask you, since we've got a taste of all the teams now playing together, how are you feeling about groups B and C? Do you feel like there's a obvious power dynamic change?
I'm feeling really good about what's happening here for Group B, especially because the last time with Group A and Group B, they're a little bit more evenly spread out. But right now for Group B and Group C, we were expecting a lot of teams in Group C, AKO Legend, for X-Men Expert, but they did not show up at all. And so Group B, at that final circle, that was only like 4 squads left. Only 1 was actually Group C, and that was Zeth. Zeth Squad actually impressed me just because they weren't really doing a good job here so far. So there's a little bit of a disconnect here. There's a little bit of an imbalance just because of Group B, I feel like they've been having a lot more confidence going into that first 2 matchups. So I really like what I'm seeing here, but C needs to step it up.
And if we're looking at Group B, I mean, just to kind of reiterate that point, Bloody Head, they had 6 points, 6 kills, excuse me. Freedom Rumble had 6 as well. Metrics had 4. Supreme Assault Forces had 7 kills. Like, all of the kills are pretty much from Group B, right? So I think that just going into this last match where Group B is going to be playing, and you're going to see a little bit of a difference in terms of just how things are moving up, like how the kills are going to be able to be spread out even from Group A and Group C, which we're going to see later today. But I think that right now we're seeing that the Stone Cold Killers are in Group B. This is a very scary group. They do need to be careful about just moving forward.
And this is also one of the games where if Do Easy have a good finisher, they would have temporarily qualified in the top 12. But it ended with Do Easy not really doing too well. They were shut down by SAF. I think Freedom Rumble also stuck their foot in. Metrics being the biggest party pooper in that situation, eliminating SAF afterwards. So Do Easy, the road is still pretty long for them.
I think I have to eat my words now because I started the broadcast saying like, okay, which of the groups looks like the weakest? And I immediately pointed my finger at Group B because I saw SAF and then I saw the rest of the competition and I was thinking, okay, this is gonna be a breeze. No, I think I jumped into some kind of tornado and I didn't realize that until I'm in the heart of it. Oh well. I mean, we're enjoying ourselves. We're starting to see some teams really start to shine. And of course, it doesn't end there because we have some boxes to give away to all of our wonderful viewers. At the bottom of the screen, you can see we have a code. Okay, make sure you redeem that code for a free gift from us to you. And this code does expire at the end of the broadcast. So if you have any friends that aren't quite here or maybe they're busy, just pass them a code and tell them to claim it now because if they do it later, it might be too late.
All right, so we're going to be going into the last game that's going to be coming up next. But just any thoughts for B versus C? Beef Mommy, any sort of team that you kind of need to call out, make sure that they pick it up, some sort of, you know what I mean, like some last minute coaching from Beef Mommy. Go.
I'm ready for this question, and I had a feeling that you were actually going to be asking me that. Needs to come up with the points. They have been a little bit disappointing in the last 3 rounds, especially in the last one where they were essentially eliminated in the 7th round, but then they did get a lot of points already to place themselves into that 5th. So you're seeing a lot of appointment for the side of staff, but you know what? I like to see it. What I said a while ago, I like to see the Apex Predator sort of go down just because we get to see a lot more other teams really come up with all those points and really just turn things around. Argon finally having their first booyah ever in this tournament is something that we like to see. It makes it more interesting.
Yeah, and if we're looking at that spread, look at that. 4 different teams with 7 kills apiece. SAF still managed to get top 5 even with that early exit out. But Metrics, I think that's the sneaky one. We didn't really talk too much about Metrics here, but considering that they got 8 placement points, 4 kills, Metrics, what did you see that they did well, Husky?
Metrics is a team that is very opportunistic. I think we witnessed them third-partying, fourth-partying a lot of fights pretty frequently. And sure, they might not have the best finishes. Now they're currently placed just in 12th place, being bumped down a ability hit. But they are willing to take those chances, and I think it's something that a lot of teams don't do as much as we've wanted to see them do. Metrics is a team that is consistent. They see a chance, they go in, and if they get wiped out, then it's just unlucky. But I think they're getting better and better at recognizing these openings, right? Where even the best teams, if they come up from a long fight, they're not gonna have time to recover, and that battle of attrition is always going to be beneficial to a team that intervenes, and I think Metrics is that team.
Actually, I want to put a spotlight onto AKO because they've started off the day with a 4-point KO, because we also noticed that AKO didn't do too well last week either.
Yes and no, I guess. Well, currently, any Blacklist International have completely taken over AKO. They had 3 amazing games. This is their last game. AKO this is just the 2nd game. I feel like they definitely have a chance. They had to play with like 2 members very early on in that last round, so it definitely was a struggle for them. But we'll see. I have faith in them.
All right,
so
very quickly,
yep.
Who are we putting our money on? Hola, go.
Oh man, you're putting me on the spot. I don't think Argon Malaysia is going to be able to do that again. I want to say Tactical Intex, but I feel like Husky's going to say something as well, and he's going to just curse that team. But I feel like I feel like Tactical Intex is going to have a better showing this one. Maybe not the Booyah, but they're going to get some points.
All right, very quickly, I'm gonna go bloody head. Husky.
Oh my goodness. Metrics.
Beef Mommy, go.
Yeah, for X-Men expert, just cause.
All right, game is started. I'm going to throw it over to our casters right now. Let's go, Kalahari.
Oh, Kalahari is going to be the name of the game, and already a very amazing start for the side of Zeth, really just eliminating so much already. And this is what we keep saying a while ago, right? It's like Kalahari is usually a slow-paced game, but no, it seems like they really want to get those kills. Monarch gets a 1, actually just gets only the takedown, but then gets taken down as well. Only one person, Blade, the only man left for his team to make a difference.
I'm surprised that Type 64 actually tried to help his team. I mean, he's a man. He's definitely a good brother in arms, but in that situation, it kind of is a no-go zone. You know, you don't have the resources, and I don't think that's where you should go. I mean, Blade's trying. Okay, Blade gets 2 down. He's able to clean up Grizzly, so maybe it's not too bad for Seth. But can Blade get more? DJ does have that flashbang. It's gonna blind Blade temporarily, but he knows where Zay is. He's behind that little box, and I think Blade knows it. In fact, that's already 3 kills for Zeph. It's a 1 versus 1, and Blade has a huge health pool advantage. It's just a matter of time before he goes to execute. He has that 1 glue wall which already propped up. He's gonna give it a bit of cover. Now he's gonna try and go for the swing, but he's going the long way, and it's gonna take a while before the fight ends. But it feels like Blade might have just turned the whole franchise around.
Yeah, and that's a really great start already. But speaking of, this is where I put my money on. But oh, just like that, they already get eliminated. Umbrella seems to be like they already had a strong start, but doesn't really seem to be like it's gonna be the case for X-Men Expert. I put my money on them just because, with no basis whatsoever, but just it's the first team I actually saw. But you know what? I'm not gonna make it into a caster curse, and hopefully they get to actually get all of those points. They're in a very good spot though. Mammoth is going to be a place where you're going to be having a lot of those sites, and with that high ground, it's going to be very impressive. There's not going to be a team though that's going to be near them, so that's going to be good. They're just buffing all of the materials that they need to get, but the thing that they need to really just get is definitely the grenades, just because of how much we've been seeing the usage of that here so far.
And you know, for X-Men Expert, they heard the noise and they immediately checked it out. And they came in just at the right time. They wipe out Umbrella Reborn, and they might be able to find Zeph's, the last member of Zeph's squad as well. Yeah, Blade just get absolutely blown apart by Spade. For X-Men Expert, they back 2 pretty easy kills, and that narrows down the number of teams we have on this map down to just 10. And for some reason, some things don't change, and I think Umbrella Reborn and Zeph Squad are 2 really good examples when they were placed in the same group for the first 3 weeks in Group A. The bottom feeders kept hot dropping into each other. They kept going for these early fights, and it's good to see that some things don't change. But for Umbrella Reborn and Zeph Squad, the fact that they both went out early on, it feels pretty bad.
Yeah, and if you are going to be considering where you want to place yourself early on into this matchup, for X-Men Expert has the opportunity to actually go in there, especially because no one is going to be near them. Yeah, the danger zone is going to be closing in so slowly, but take a look at this. AKO, a team that has been struggling here so far, but granted, maybe Bermuda is just not their map today. Maybe they're going to be pulling up here in Kalahari, but they have pressure on their shoulders, because being that top 3, that's not going to be that easy, just because you have other people standing right behind you in line ready to just take your spot. And who's it going to be? Fast Kill MY is definitely going to be one more person, and guess who else is going to be in that 6th spot? It's going to be 4X. So a pop off here from the side of those 2 teams. AKO, that's not going to be a really comfortable spot to be in.
Yeah, one more bad round for AKO and one more good round for either Fast QMY or 4X Expert. AKO is going to start taking a dive down the rankings. So they definitely need to buckle up. But we also saw Do Easy taking control of Refinery. And the rest of the frontrunners, they're actually all on the outskirts, right? I think Saf is kind of on the southeastern side of the map. Freedom Rumble is like northwest. So kind of playing taking a very safe approach. I think SAF, they realized that they probably need a change. In the last round, they were in the center. It didn't end the best for them, but they also got a high amount of kills. Perhaps playing from outside in is going to give them a bit more of a tactical advantage, just so you won't have teams like Metrics coming in and spoiling the fun after you just got a couple of kills.
Absolutely, and it's that third party that we always get to see, or maybe even the party that Holler was really just talking about a while ago. And speaking of, Holler with his analogies is gonna be definitely one of the highlights. The murderers, the parties, the boys and the girls, and the romance. And speaking of a romance, we're not gonna be seeing a romantic gesture here from the side of Do Easy, just because of how much pressure they're actually applying here for Bloody Heads. Bloody Head is going to be in a very tricky spot because you already know that Do Easy knows where you are, so they need to play it smart here, and they're going to be
control refinery. You have to make use of that high ground advantage. As long as the circle still has refinery within it, the team will have a chance. But it kind of feels slightly weird when teams on refinery, as what we see Do Easy do right now, just hiding behind containers and not really taking those chances to kind of scout out the environment. It feels like you are not utilizing this area to its full potential, right? Because this is the best place for you to have a bird's eye view over the rest of the map. Do Easy, they're playing it really safe, and I'm not sure if that's the best approach, but if it keeps them alive, I guess it's understandable.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it already in matchup number 1 where they're playing a little bit passively, so it's going to be the same case here. Really just picking your fights, but I think in that situation, they probably would have won that, and the fact that they didn't, that was basically just lost points for them, and hopefully they do get to last at the very end, like what's been happening in the past few rounds that they've actually been playing. So another team that has been really just struggling here, XBR, they had a very early exit a while ago, and that's basically going to be very hard for them. Cannot always the team that's going to be going away early, but Zeth and Umbrella are going to be those teams. So thankfully for them, they're going to be getting and racking up all of those points already. It's going to be very slow here, a very slow-paced game. Really fortunate to see that there's still a lot of teams really just alive going in there. I don't know what is going to happen here just because of how spread out all of these teams are. It seems like the third partying might just ensue right here. I like what I'm seeing here. 4 X-Men seem to be like they're going to be in the middle, and really no, they're actually not going to be in the middle. That's going to be AKO.
Yeah, and Do Easy, they might have regretted the decision to move away from refinery, because I believe AKO took over for a while, but they took the zip line off, and now they are venturing slightly farther to the northeastern side and run straight into Bloody Head. Morgana is going to be the first one to get shot, as Taken is relentless with they know where XBR is, because Shiro is posing as that intel gatherer. He's right smack in the middle. He hears the gunshot from AKO. He knows that Bloody Head is there, but does Bloody Head know about XBR's existence?
Yeah, and XBR is going to be in that unique spot where if they stay there and just engage, they might actually win that, but Blood's probably going to be a problem for them as well. So Do Easy still right chilling on top of them, and AKO seem to be like they're quite in a pickle. And this is what you were saying a while ago, right? If you go in there in the circle really early on without having a really great position, because we can see here, this is that just because of how well you can actually get taken out. A grenade or two can actually just wipe out your whole squad, and Heads can actually go in there for the aggression, but it's a good thing for them. They're too far away. It's gonna be very hard, especially that there's one team on top of them.
Yeah, I'm surprised that AKO moved away from refinery so early on after Do Easy abandoned it, just because of the circle, right? It actually, I felt like it benefited whoever is in refinery, at least for this phase. And then AKO moves away, they move to the low ground. Do Easy casually just waltz in and overtakes not just refinery, but also the perimeter of that area. Now they get low ground control. They also get that high ground vision. They Do Easy has kind of put themselves back in a very good spot. They have at least a minute or a minute and a half to capitalize on that advantage. But if the circle continues to have refinery within its range, then I think Do Easy is going to be pretty happy about that. Still 10 teams left alive, and all of these teams have their full 4-man stack.
Yeah, and that's a really good thing to see. It just seems to be like, at the very end, it's going to be an absolute bloodbath, especially if it's going to be in Refinery. And the reason why we keep saying Refinery is because it's probably one of the best spots to actually go and nail if you do get to actually just hold down that particular spot. Just you can is in that really weird spot where you have another team. 4X-Men is going to be right there. Refinery is going to be right behind them. So I feel like SAF really wants to make that push going to Refinery, but they have to worry about 4X-Men. So that's going to be a good thing for them, though.
Yeah, they did down 2 members from the side of 4X-Men Expert, but McGrory also takes a fall for now. Let's go. We'll be able to pick him back up. 2 layers of glue wall, just sufficient to give SAF the cover that they need. McGrory will spend some time healing back up, but 4X-Men Expert, they don't want to give SAF that space. That has always been the motto when going up against aggressive teams. You don't want to give them space to recover, and Damon is going to put that entry fragment skills to good use. Finally taking down the first member from the side of 4X-Men Expert, being that relentless predator, hunting for space, placing down layers and layers of glue wall to give distance. And look at all those nades and flashbacks. Good utility combination from SAF, but they're not getting anything done just yet. Spade finally down, courtesy of McRory, and SAF might have just found that opening.
The opening doesn't quite come through, though. As you can see here, Zeth is going to be absolutely crazy. 4X-Men, oh, they're in trouble. And there you go, just like that, one by one, dropping like flies. And they were basically just flushed out. This is the SAF that we actually know, the SAF that we come to love. And it seems to see like Kalahari is going to be finally their game. It is going to be their last map to play today.
Yeah, and it's at the same time, Freedom Rumble goes in for a demonstration of how to push the compound with Metrics. The member stuck behind the glue wall, and here comes the White Peak, but Cause responds in perfect fashion, downing one time. Reno P does still get the kill onto Vegeta, so Metrics, they're not going down without a fight. They want to cripple Freedom Rumble as much as possible. Tactical Intex, on the other hand, knows that all of this is happening. Metric is a team that takes opportunities, and Shuffy actually blows himself up. Drags will finish the job for him by lobbing a nade himself, as Freedom Rumble able to capitalize on that small mistake and perhaps just take down Metrics. ITX, they're not gonna get themselves involved. They will make a run for it, but they are getting shot by Cannot Brain.
Really great call for them to actually fall back, but then they're going to have to pay for it just because one more squad is going to be right on the far left. They're going to be sandwiched really quick here if they don't really get to find some cover. And not only that, they're probably going to be one of the farthest squads to actually go in there for the push. Only a few squads left in the mix, and it's going to be very important for them to actually go in there. 10 squads, actually. You know what? I'm just joking. It's still 10 squads. For a second there, I actually thought there was only 6 squads left, but you know what? That's not going to be the case. As you can see here, there's a lot of gunfight ensuing already as people are going to be closing into the circle just like that, dropping one by one. Saf seems to be like they're at a very tricky spot, though. That is not a good thing to actually go into. Argon, on the other hand, is going to be in a very great spot, really having that high ground. Saf already going down slowly, but Sparks as well for the side of Argon is going to be needing that help.
And me from Argon and Y just making the life. But you can see, you know, with 7 teams left, too many cooks in the kitchen spoil the broth, and too many teams in a circle just doesn't cut it. Argon and Y somehow still sticking their foot down and making sure that this watchtower is gonna be that last bastion, as Cannot Brain somehow makes it close to that circle, but now they have a Titan to go through. It's gonna be in the form of AKO Legend. If they look elsewhere, it's gonna be bloody hit. So XBR kind of trapped in the middle. They will have to pick a fight and commit to it.
There's only one squad that's actually going to be inside that circle, and AKO seems to be like they're at a very solid spot to go and defend. XBR, though, only one person left. Shiro is going to be the only person left that can actually and maybe even place points for his team, but as he's going to be taking some shots, that's not going to be easy. Saf, on the other hand, though, one down. That's not going to be easy as they try to go in there. AKO at a very prime spot. Cannot Brain finally gets eliminated as the 6th spot. Do Easy eliminated as well. The new kill leader, AKO. Solid squad right now. The fact that they actually go in there, they went in for the early rotation going into this building. That is probably one of the best things that they can actually do. You kill leader yet again, AKO, but then just like that, yeah, is going to be going down. Quadra kill already for Decos though, so it's going to be a very interesting push. Bloodyhead eliminated as well. Only 2 teams left here in the mix. Saf versus AKO, our #1 and top 4 seed, really just battle things out.
And SAF is 2 against 4. This is not going to be easy. They need utilities. They have 1 grenade on the side of McRory, and AKO feels like they want to go in for the push. Taken with his own nade. Not going to connect just yet, but their blue zone is forcing SAF to go in for the push. Taken is the first one to go down. Everyone is to head for the center. McRory dies to the blue zone, and it's just not sufficient for SAF to pull through. AKO just with sheer numbers and a bit of force. They take that booyah for the day. And maybe round number 1 was just a warm-up because AKO Legends, they are back online.
Yeah, definitely back in the game. AKO Legends right now with Xphonics, X-Taken, Ross Oxinga, and Decos yet again. They were pulling up here in this particular map in Kalahari, and that's what we were saying. It's like, in Bermuda, they were struggling, yes, but maybe it was just a case of that 1 round mishap. So that doesn't seem to be like it's going to be happening now, and finally getting a booyah for them. That is definitely going to be racking up all of those points for AKO. Definitely a very strong end right now, especially that Group B is going to be...
Where they were out in 7th place. But so close yet so far. SAF, it always felt like they can make it. You know, they had a chance, but today is just not that day. Regardless, they still put up a pretty good fight. So, you know, SAF, they should definitely be proud of themselves. Booyah is not everything. It's all about that consistency, and it's the motto of Supreme Assault Forces all along. But for AKO, they can rejoice at least for now because that actually puts them back in that top 3, and I'm pretty sure our host will be happy with that as well. Let's bring back Holler and Daniel Lee, and let's see what they have to say about AKO Legends.
I'm just glad to see AKO actually remind us that they are a top contender. It's not a team that miraculously got up there from some kind of miracle. It's a team that, if you give them the right circumstances, that they do perform. So I'm glad that they were able to at least grab the booyah. I was a little bit worried because at first I was thinking, oh, is it going to be SAF? Are they going to deny these points to AKO? But it ends up being the other way around. And I think SAF, they won't be disappointed after their performance today. They have such a big lead. I think they can have a couple days where it's not an SAF day. maybe more than a few days, but I think SAF, they're probably just going to shrug it off. And as they explained to us during the last tea time, they're going to analyze their mistakes and they're going to improve for next time.
So I lost track of SAF's kills throughout the day. I think it was close to 23, 25. Their average is about 28. So having an off day, yeah, they had a little bit of an off day. In terms of placements, obviously we talked about that being a bit lucky. So SAF, just no booyahs. Unfortunately, they kind of ran into the heavyweight of AKO there. AKO Legend really turned it up. They needed that game, right? And it's going to set the tone for the rest of the matches that we're going to have today, as they have 2 more matches to go. But Decos, man, that guy is a beast. You got to be careful of where that guy is. You got to make sure that you track him down. I don't know, you got to hit him from different angles or whatever it is, because this guy, if he's going to beat you in a one-on-one fight. So you got to be careful about that. So AKO Legend just really picked it up there. But let's go into the highlights and see what we saw.
And I thought, you know, AKO Legends moving away from Refinery that early on, despite them kind of having the advantage to gatekeep other teams. I thought it was not the best decision, but apparently someone made it work. They just read the circle perfectly. They parked themselves in that house, and it became the best decision they ever made because they were the only team with a compound. That was, you know, Forestman Expert able to third party 2 teams and get 2 early kills. But I would say SAFs, they didn't do too bad. You know, they were able to survive for pretty long. You know, the push into Forestman Expert was expertly done, although some trips along the way. But Forestman Expert just did not have a solution.
That was like what we expect with Kalahari. You're going to see that mad dash in the end, just trying to finish it out. But like, luck plays a massive role in this one. We talked about utility being a big one. Beef Mommy, did you see anything different about that last circle coming in?
What's different is that we saw a really great utilization of the positioning of, especially going into for the SAF. Just because for SAF, they couldn't go in there just because they were just gate kept right now from AKO. And that's why I guess it's for, sorry about it, because with SAF, they've been struggling here so far. And in day 7, I think it's why they don't really go in there for the early rotations into the last circle. They usually are in there very early on, but they don't really get to keep it for this day. I think that's why they keep struggling to really just get the booyah, just because it's not the usual SAF that we really get to see. And usually you get to see them position themselves early on, and we don't see that today.
Well, I think there's something that we also have to take into consideration. The SAF that we saw before, was it just because maybe they were very comfortable in the group that they're in? Now that we've had a little bit of a shuffle, maybe it's that feeling of the team feeling wonky, right? Because we've changed everything up. They're getting completely different matchups. Just can take a look at the round standings very quickly. AKO at the very top, super happy with their performance, 23 points. They needed this. Something I noticed is I feel that we are really overplaying the whole idea that SAF is underperforming, whereas in reality, this team's doing fantastic still, right? They're gaining so many points off of their matches. Yes, they're not getting booyahs. Yes, they're not crushing their matches, but I don't really think we're going to be seeing SAF fall on the leaderboard anytime soon. But even with today's performance, if they just played like this for the rest of the league, I think they'd be fine. I don't think we're going to see them drop.
Yeah, I think because SAF showed such a good performance, right, that our expectation has been exponentially elevated to the next level. Like if they don't get a booyah, they're underperforming. But I do agree, regardless of what day it is for SAF, we look at the leaderboard that we have access to. I mean, they actually pulled ahead in terms of the point difference, which is a crazy thing, right? The whole underperforming thing, it didn't exist. I would say today they performed way better than they did in week number 3.
Yeah, and it's because they were just on fire, right? In the sense of like all the kills, all the placements, just winning everything left, right, and center. And then all of a sudden they're not. You know what I mean? Like, wait, what is wrong with this team? Like, are they really shaking? But like I mean, in terms of points, they're still very, very high, definitely above the curve in terms of this league. But it's not the typical SAF level that we see where they just dominate everything. So it's weird to see even AKO Legend outduel them in the end like that.
All right, beefy beef. We are going to be jumping into a very interesting matchup because we have A versus C. So all the teams that are playing in Group B, they're done for the day. We're going to see them again tomorrow. But A versus C, this one's going to be a really exciting one. What do you think we're going to be looking at with the teams competing?
Well, from the performance a while ago from Group A, definitely they've been really just showing it up. Almighty, even Fast Skill, PXG Radicals, Blacklist International, it's just all across.
Yeah, and with what we saw from Group A, like all of the teams, barring Enigmax, Max, all the other 5 teams have had an amazing first 2 rounds. The PXG Radicals got themselves a good one. Blacklist International with, I think, the first booyah of the day. Almighty also stepped up big time. Fastkill did the same. Wills in the middle of the pack, but not the worst. I feel like Group A, like early on you pointed out, Holler, Group A probably has the best average score, and I think that they're really showing that. So Group C, they gotta watch out. AKO Legends is not enough. If we're just pinning our hopes on AKO Legends, I feel like it's insufficient to take down Group A.
All right, so it looks like we're going to take a little bit of a break. We'll be right back with Group A versus Group C. Please stay tuned. We'll see you right in 2 seconds.
Do Easy is next on the chopping block, and it seems like Fastkill and why they know where Do Easy is. Jumbo, oh boy, no, shows his.
I'm just torn in between, man. I want both of those squads to get the best out of the equation. Blacklist International now. Cobra takes Fade out of the equation, or to the very least knocks him down onto the ground. Cobra needs to be very careful. So 7 HP left, and he goes in for the slice.
Now Almighty! And Matrix, at least they do some damage, but it might be enough. Matrix now, they'll be under fire. Fastkill and White coming through. Almighty chipping in. Matrix will go down eventually as they took a very unfavorable fight. Fastkill and White not done yet. Look at that, 11 kills. Bow out, so there's extra points for Matrix. They're gonna be happy with that. AKO Legends is gonna be the next one to go down as Ray Miao fights an easy leg shot. But he ran Almighty suffered extra casualties. DXG Radicals now.
SAF, and they don't really have much of a compound here. They have to expend each and every single one of those blue walls. But McRory taking those shots, pops his time turner as well. Beautiful nade down. Monarch gets caught off guard, and that bounce off of the tree was absolute perfection from McRory.
Apa kabar, Free Fire? Selamat datang.
Survivors, tayo perlukan sokongan.
Kunci, keluarkan saya dari sini.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the MCP Majors Season 2. We've just finished up our first two series of the day, A versus B and B versus C. But of course, that does leave our final matchup, which is A versus C. And I know we are very excited on the panel, Hauler, because we suspect this is probably going to be the most stacked groups.
Yeah. We're going to see 4 out of 5 Supreme Assault Forces. They're taking a break now. But the other teams in the top groups, A and C in this case, have really picked it up, and it's been very interesting so far. But there's been a different in terms of like kill potential, right? I think that we're seeing some of the other teams like step it up, and it's been a different start to the second half of the season too.
So before that, we're going to jump into the overall standings very quickly to see where everyone sort of is after these initial matches. Now, just a reminder, because teams in Group B have completed all of their matchups, they're going to be a little bit higher on the leaderboard compared to everyone else, basically, because they haven't played their last two matches. So SAF going to be sitting pretty at almost 400 points total. Okay, 400 points. So. Pixie Radicals, aka Legends, Blacklist. I mean, these guys, they still have 2 more matches, but I think this gap's getting bigger, Hauler.
Yeah. I think that gap is going to be very hard. I think it's the fight for second at this point. I mean, that's definitely within arm's reach. If we're looking at our PXG, AKO, and Blacklist International, Fast Kill has kind of stepped off, as well as 4X Men. They haven't really played as much, but mind you, they haven't played as many games as well. But they are definitely behind. They need to pick that on up. One thing.
Absolutely. So at this rate, I think we could all just agree that we're still looking at that race at the bottom to try and get that 12th position, do easy, literally on the edge. But, I mean, do you think Do Easy are going to be able to make it to 12? Or do you feel like this team is just going to be the boy on the fence, the guy looking in?
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, they got a chance, right? It is never really over. I mean, you have so many, play days left, right? So I don't think that you just give up. All you need to do is just kind of like take baby steps forward, try to get as many kills as possible, just score in the average part. Just understand where you are. As long as you're hitting your average, your points, you want to be consistently growing and just try to catch up slowly but surely to the next person ahead of you.
Yeah, of course. Now, first matchup is going to be Bermuda. We all know how fast-paced this could be. Who do you think is actually going to be one of the teams to look out for on Bermuda, considering that we're looking at such an insanely stacked group?
I'm going to go.
Okay, fair enough. I was quite surprised, actually, because they don't tend to do very well on Bermuda.
I'm going to stick with them. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter what, I think that we've only seen 3 maps. I think that they're very consistent on all of them. It's just a matter of getting a little lucky at times. And I think that we're going to see them do all right. Probably top 5. I'm calling it now, but we'll see. I've cursed people before.
We'll see if Blacklist can do it. But for now, we're going to throw it over to our casters for our first match of our final series of the day is A versus C. Hauler.
That Lisbon Mummy, so far they've been looking pretty darn well. But we're about to find out whether Blacklist can continue that streak without Sav's involvement in the last 2 rounds. This is certainly a fight for the second place.
Yeah, most definitely. But you know what? I'm not quite sure if Bermuda's gonna be a map that can actually go and shine. And AKO as well. I don't think they're doing so well here in Bermuda. So my money would probably be on PXG Radicals just because of how so they've been here so far. So hopefully they actually go in there, get a lot of those points. And it's really interesting to see where they're going to be dropping off right smack dab in the middle. But just right beside them is going to be another squad, and that's going to be troublesome for them. Early engagements this early on, not quite sure if that's going to be a really great thing to do. Might seem to be like PXG might have a hard time here just because it's not going to be an easy mix here just because EMX is going to be one person, but Slumber is going to be going down.
And PXG Radicals probably one of the worst teams. Not dropping right. You know, they're dropping into teams like PXG Radicals. You know, they did drop into, I believe, Zep Squad, and they lost that as well in the previous round. This is just looking pretty poor. And PXG Radicals, they smell blood. Winsome will be the second one to be down, thanks to Tanamo. And I think the rest of PXG Radicals are going to go in for the flush. Black, just covering at the corner. But that is most likely going to be his final resting place. Tanamo is going to... And Barbara is going to slice Lonesome into ribbons. And Black, he is not long for the world. Runs out of the building, drops the time turner, and just goes for a bit of a, you know, cat and mice chase. But I think PXG Radicals got this.
Damn, that was just so unfortunate to see. Enigmax is going to be eliminated so early on, and that is honestly no surprise. Enigmax seem to be like they're just going to be the chum from the big fish that basically PXG is just enjoying their time here. So that was a good thing. That was a good drop for them, and the points definitely is needed. So right off instead of Enigmax, they haven't been doing well. Teams really just pull through with all of those points all through, like Argon, and really just getting that booyah is going to be very amazing for them. So it's definitely very possible for them to really just gather those points.
And this is just it's not gonna get any better for Enigmax. I feel, you know, it kind of feels bad, right? Because Enigmax, they I believe they qualify for MCP season 2 just through in the qualifiers, right? During FFMC, they were known as Enigmax All-Star. Not the best team for sure. They were getting absolutely bullied. And then they had to play all the way to qualify for MCP Major, and still it has not changed the fact that they are the bottom, you know, at the bottom of the leaderboard. So it really shows that this team might have just temporarily hit that glass ceiling, and they're not breaking away from that anytime soon.
Absolutely. And PXG Radicals seem to be like they're at a very great spot right now. The strip is gonna be a great position, especially going into those final circles. And it's very likely that statistically that the circle is going to be smack dab in the center. But no, not today, Satan. It seemed like Almighty and Blacklist is going to be having that in their favor.
And you know, for Almighty, this is probably one of the better days for them. You know, they've managed to move up the standings a bit more. You know, it's currently sitting in top 8, probably one of the best positions that they've been in a long time. I think even as Divinity at one point being in 8th place feels like a very tall order back in season 1. This is a step up for Almighty, but we've seen them, you know, go out fast, and we've seen them crash right after that. So hopefully they can show us a bit more consistency in putting on those numbers. A team that has definitely convinced us of that is Fastkill and White. 5th place, still moving up the leaderboard. First they were in 10th, then they closed out week 3 in 6th place, and now they're in 5th place. It can only go upwards from here on out.
Yeah, Fastkill definitely is the team to beat. They've been climbing up the ranks so fast, and so would be that easy. They are at a disadvantage just because of this hill and the fact that Almighty has amazing cover already. So I feel like if I were PXG, I would just not really take this gunfight. That's not going to be very smart for them. But then Batman already taking shots. As soon as I said that, PXG Radicals with crazy shots already.
Yeah, but we saw Shira just now playing kind of the lurking. Now he's trying to set up an ambush, and if he gets the drop onto PXG, I think this is gonna open up the entire fight for Almighty. And look at Shira, he's really patient. He's crouched down, and PXG Radicals, they're gonna get distracted by Zep Squad, you know, who is kind of on the southern side and on the northern side. This is gonna give Almighty a lot more room to work with, as you can see on the radar that Almighty, they're making a lot of rotations. They are showing a lot of movements. Insanity is going for kind of scouting job with that bike. He's gonna be tagged a little bit, but not enough to bring him down. but Almighty has so much room to work with, and Shira finally pops his head out, which means that Almighty, now they gotta commit to the fight.
Yeah, this is the fight that they wanted to get, but I'm not quite sure if the best thing to do from Almighty was to actually Almighty. They should just chill out there. PXG Radicals, they are not going to be having an easy time really just going in there just because of how open everything is right now. And now they are taking some shots, so they need to just disengage, I think. And with Death Squad a while ago, Zeth was supposed to be that third party, but then you know what? They were just like, yeah, we're not going to be taking this spot. You guys go ahead and just kill each other.
Yeah, just way too risky for Zef Squad to be involved in it. And considering the distance and Zef Squad being on the low ground is kind of, you know, not really the best decision to make. But Almighty, they're gonna go in for the push, and Barbara will be challenged by Ren, and of course he will lose it. Insanity now will join the fight alongside Tanamoni. Get some exchange in return, and the trade will definitely come true. PSG Radicals responds in a very adequate manner as they take down Almighty with grace. Jay-Z now on his knees as Batman wants to be that superhero, but the villains are just way stronger compared to the DC Comics, as Batman forced to run away from the villains. Comes back in, and they swoop in for a counter engage to wipe out PXG Radicals. Almighty with such a good counter engage, and they wipe out their opponents.
Shira with a triple kill grenade. Why do we keep seeing that today? And that is the reason, that is the specific reason why you need to use these grenades at the right moment. And yes, we keep telling a while ago, is this a meta? Is the grenade the meta? Yeah, it's always been a meta because it depends on who uses it. You can just throw a grenade at the very wrong time and just waste it. But how these players actually get to utilize that at the very right moment is just absolutely amazing. And we keep seeing it again and again. A whole grenade to just get rid of.
Yeah, and PSG Radicals has such a good start. You know, Almighty were the one who started the fight, and they made it a point to finish it. PSG Radicals with their worst round today, out in 11th place, and I believe only 1 point to their record. It's definitely not going to sit well with them, as it will affect the standings. But cannot brain, they find themselves a challenger running across the bridge underneath, whereas Blacklist International will be stuck in this conflict with AKO between that building and the greenery outside. And that means that AKO Legend will have a bit more space to work with.
And this is space that they need to actually go and close in. If they really want to commit here in Blacklist International, they need to go in there. But at the same time, there's going to be another squad that might be a little bit of a problem for them, as ITX is going to be right there. Tactical Index have been a formidable force. Yes, they've been struggling, but they haven't been struggling a lot. They've always been in that middle of the pack where they do a good job, they don't do a great job. And ITX, they have that a little bit of leeway to actually kind of fool around just a bit. But in ninth place, that's not going to be a little bit comfortable, so they need to really just choose their gunfights, and now yet they have the advantage of being in that high ground. Then speaking of a team that will probably meet up with another squad, it's going to be Zeth versus XBR right now.
They were able to kind of avoid PXG Radicals and Almighty early on, so XBR is definitely a better opponent for them to go up against. But Fastkill and Y, they're up against a more formidable foe, and that is in the form of Wheels. So far, it seems like Fastkill and Y will slowly pincer in and try to go for the push. Yun does get down off screen though, so they need to kind of trade Limit in return. But so far, it took them a while. Limit still goes down, and at least Fastkill and Y were able to secure that kill. But Wills, on the other hand, on that high ground, was able to down 2 members of Fastkill and Y, and maybe Wills had just gotten a better trade. We see that grenade bringing the members of Wills down so low. Our Forte is going to be gunned down by the shotgun, as Aoki is on the run. Unfortunately, it feels like this time Wills might not be able to make it out, as Fastkill and Y kind of wipes the floor with them. Wills still kind of in the game, I believe, but Fastkill and Y just got a better trade.
Yeah, Fastkill MY is such a force to be reckoned with. They've been performing so well here so far, and there's a reason why they're up there, right? That's why they're at the 5th spot. They want blood, and they only need 1 more point to actually overtake Blacklist International and maybe even knock at the doors of AKO Legend. If we don't see AKO Legend perform here, best believe there's going to be 2 squads right there to take their spot. XBR, though, on the other hand, has always been struggling, and Zeth squad has always been in the really bad spot as well, but it just seems like they might win this certain situation. Zeth squad at the 15th spot with 1 Booyah to their name, so it's very doable for them to actually go in there for the clutch, but Guns is not going to be going down without a fight though.
Yeah, this is going to be the last stand for Guns, unfortunately. Surrounded by a bunch of sharks from a Zev squad. All the angles are pretty much covered. Yeah, sure, Guns can stay here for a while longer. The circle still protects him, but not for long. I think Zev squad wants to get this over and done with and move on with their lives. There's bigger fishes in the sea, and Guns is just the appetizer. On the other side, you have Blacks International completely ignored, completely free.
Probably the best thing that Guns is actually just asking for. He's just waiting for Zeth to be distracted by the zone and for another team to actually pull by. That was supposed to be Blacklist International, but then Blacklist just went in there and really took a U-turn. And that really great read going to the circle early enough is going to be very important. But what we're not seeing right now, Fast Kill yet again gets rid of Almighty. Certain players of Almighty are already going down. And it's a good thing we're actually get to see that right now. And the nade is going to go in there, that 2F, and they need to go in there, push there as a team. So that's a really great start. Fast Skill is actually looking really prime right now.
They are in tip-top condition. As Almighty, they will have no chance of taking this fight with FSK at all. But Forest Man Expert on the other side would challenge AKO, and the rain of grenades from the grenade launcher is just making the life members of AKO so damn hard. Goku comes in from the flank, and the time turner is perfectly utilized. Gets the knock onto Rosso, and I think AKO Legend
seem to be like, it's Bermuda, not really quite their map, but Rival gets to take some shots. One squad is going to be right behind them, and Blacklist International is all going to smell some blood as well. Gonna want to get a lot of those kills. Really trying to be that vulture to really pick up a lot of those extra kills for their name. Zeth, on the other hand, is going to be positioning themselves really centered into the circle. Really smart things, just because they've been struggling with the aggression. So the only thing you can do,
just running up high ground into Forestman Expert. Ali just loses that CQC, but they are still putting numbers on the board. Yun is down. The shot desperately goes for that revive, but they might have just made a mistake. That blue zone is gonna be the death of them. At least for Shark and Ali, they're definitely out. Monito cannot turn back. The only way is forward. It's going to be him against the rest of Forestman Expert, who are not happy with this intervention. They did not send out an invitation, and Fast MY just bust through the door. Now they have to pay the fee, and it's going to be in the form of their life. Forestman Expert did suffer some casualties, but Fast MY feels to be on the worse, my English.
Worser. I like that.
Receiving end. I'll just stick with that. But ITX,
you know what? I'm gonna be taking that word. I'm gonna be stealing that from you. Worser situations, and like what you said. And with Fastkill, it's like they weren't able to buy the ticket and couldn't really go inside the door, as the bouncer is definitely going to be a little bit strong for them, and that bouncer is definitely going to be Blacklist for them for sure. And there you go, Blacklist International, Phoenix getting that shotgun kill, and that was really that was basically Fate doing its thing, just really dropping every single one of them, and Blacklist is doing such a solid.
It seems like it's paying off once more. The faithful shall always be rewarded. Blacklist International did get one booyah already to start of the day, and the second one is definitely not gonna hurt. The member who's knocked down is going to be brought back up, no problem. UMB makes it into the final circle, but it's going to be Tactical Intact taking up Blacklist International, as Umbrella Reborn will have to deal with Z Squad. It's going to be two different fights on two different fronts. One in the circle, one outside. UMB gatekeeping Z Squad as much as they can. Nades are flying through, but is it going to be sufficient? Those nades going down as arrow will be sprayed right through. The rush is just too much from the side of Z Squad, as Type 64 overwhelms Umbrella Reborn, and this time the brain is just too fierce. The droplets will pierce through the umbrella of this team. Zeb Squad also goes down, courtesy to ITX. And here we go, the final showdown between Tactical Intex and Blacklist International. Blacklist gotta go high ground.
Gotta go high ground, and it's a long way to go, as the hill is going to be occupied right now by Tactical Index. Seems to be like there's such a strong position right now. Blacklist is gonna have to go in there, really get a lot of those kills, but a lot of those glue walls already going down. One more kill though, ITX, one new kill leader on X. And I'm glad to see it's not the same story over and over, and it's not the same team that's getting these kills. Siad, Hugh, Strix, Zipnu, Leaf, and Yell, a really powerful squad, and that's definitely going to be gathering a lot of points for them, maybe even climbing up to that 8th spot.
I might have jinxed them by the end of week 3, but I definitely did not for week number 4, because they have proven their worth, they've proven their prowess. I mean, getting that booyah is definitely the first time for them, as they are also showing us the recipe of their victory. A bit of our classic Maggie instant noodles and just smiles on their face. The efforts have finally paid off, and in such a great fashion as well. You know, taking out Blacklist International of all teams. And let's bring back our hosts, Holler and Dana Lee, back onto the broadcast, because I just want to rub in Holler's face. ITX, they've got their booyah.
Is it because of the curry me? Is it? I mean, they were showing it on stream.
Kills, but just being able to survive as long as they did. But apparently, at the end of the day, if you need instant noodles, that's the ultimate power up, and that will get you the booyahs.
I mean, I can recommend it, dry or cooked. It's up to you. Anyways, back to the game though. I have to say I'm really impressed with the number of teams that, not just the number of teams, but the teams that were ending the game today, right? I think the only top tier team there was Blacklist International. Everyone else, we had ITX, we had Zeth Squad, we had Umbrella. I was thinking, oh, are we towards the start of the game or the end of the game? Because normally these teams get eliminated first. But is it because of the shuffle that we're actually starting to see some teams at the lower end of the bracket really be able to make it towards the end?
Definitely feel that it's the shuffle. I think it is starting to show the interaction between different teams. You know, just how the teams play in general puts a lot of, affects the result in a lot of manners, right? Like teams such as ITX and Metrics, who are very opportunistic, they always have this X factor, right? You thought you won a fight, and then as you were trying to recover, they swoop in and they clean you up. We saw that happen to SAF, we saw that happen to Almighty, and now it's Blacklist International. I just feel like this shuffle has done a lot of these teams justice.
Mm-hmm. It's been beneficial for teams. I mean, Zeth getting third place, I don't think we've ever seen them in the top, 3 in almost any match throughout the entire league. So seeing them just kind of rise up to the top like that, they played very well. They got a decent amount of kills as well. But Fast Kill, they continue to bring on the aggression. They got, I think they got 6th in terms of placements. They got like 6 or 7 kills. Fast Kill still managed to get points there. So they're very strong. But the AKO,
I know I put my money on PXG Radicals, but they just went down so early. So you know what? That never happened. I never made that bet. Fast Kill, though, I am very impressed with what I saw from this squad. And maybe they didn't really get to place themselves a little bit high, but they definitely gave out a really hard time for a lot of these teams. Almighty also showed up a lot of kills as well, really giving a lot of teams a really hard time. Really just picking a lot of squads in and out. Wheels really just went in there, and very unfortunate to see them really go out very early. Blacklist International, even though they didn't win, they showed up, and especially from their poor performance a while ago in Bermuda, they definitely got to turn around that 180.
Now we're going to be in for a bit of a map change here. Now from Bermuda we go to Kalahari, my favorite, and a lovely way to end the day as well. You got to give them that really tough map. A lot of teams, I want to say complain, but I think the statement is true for a lot of people. They hate Kalahari. It's a really tough map. Sometimes it can be wonky. You have to worry about the elevation, the lack of cover. The general playstyle for Kalahari is just...
Good question. I actually don't know. Other than, Cannot Brain and Umber Reborn, like the lower category of teams, I feel like everyone else probably has an equal chance. I know I said this in round 2 and Blacklist ended up winning, but I still feel like there's no standout team. I think everyone has a pretty equal opportunity to just win the round Kalahari.
I'm going to go with AKO Legend. I think that they're going to have... I mean, they got the Booyah in match 4 on Kalahari, so I feel like they have something that works for them, right? And so if you've got a good strategy that works on a map, you might as well stick with it. So they proved us wrong. They had a bad game in match 5, so I feel like they're going to step it up for this one. I expect big things out of AKO Legend going into match 6.
Beef, I'm not sure if you have the numbers open. Do you have any numbers for Kalahari for us?
Oh, I don't really get to have to see the numbers quite yet, but from Blacklist International, like what you've been saying, they've been really strong here so far. But another team that has been a little bit impressive here as well, I know they haven't been showing up here, but Kalahari bids, and I really like to see these lower tier teams really just step it up, because just from that game, Tactical Intex actually rose up 3 notches. So I'm really excited to see how this final matchup is going to pull through.
Actually, speaking of, I do want to see it after this game. So was it only Tactical Intex that really climbed, or were there any other teams that may have went up a couple notches?
From what I actually saw, it was just Tactical Intex, but I think Almighty went down. So again, that's a really poor thing to see. Yeah, Almighty went down just because they struggled just a little bit. But I think Husky, you've noticed some teams, especially going in there from our last round.
Yeah, Almighty went down just because I think the kill points, they had like, they have lesser placement points compared to Wheels. They actually tied with Wheels in 8th and 9th points, like 235. Tactical Intex is the most notable one, who went up to 7th place, I believe from 10th place or from 9th place. But my eyes was definitely, other than ITX, I think Forestman Expert, not Forestman, Almighty did a pretty good job, bro. Even though right now they actually went down in terms of placement points, but the fact that they were able to pull out such a good radicals was enough to convince me that they probably figure out some solutions to their earlier struggles, especially Batman, right? A guy that is regarded one of the best sniper players with himself.
All right, we're going to go into match 6 very soon. But before we do, we see that AKO Legend was, I think, 287 points in 3rd place. Blacklist was 4th place with 281 points. But Beef Mommy, between these two teams, which is like, this is the team. This is the team that's going to take over. I expect, going into the end of today that, AKO or Blacklist, you let me know which one you think is the better team going in at the end of today.
I want to say Blacklist International, just because the next map is going to be Kalahari, and we already know that Blacklist really loves this map. So hopefully we get to see one more Booyah right now for the side of Blacklist, because if they do get to win this, they might actually be able to overtake PXG Radicals, just because there's only like, I think 4 points left for them to actually go and overtake them. So hopefully we get to see that. AKO Legend, though, they still have sort of like a little bit of scores to go to actually go in there, but it's definitely very doable just because they had a Booyah a while ago as well.
AKO Legend felt like they're having a hot and cold date, right? It's like the Katy Perry song. The first game that they play is pretty cold, and then they had a Booyah, and then afterwards, in the previous round, they also kind of fell up pretty early, following that advantage in that sense.
Wait. If you're going to say AKO Legends is like the Katy Perry song, then what is Blacklist International? What is their theme song then, in terms of their play style? If you had to just put it, like, if you just had to give them something, like, you know what I mean? Like, we got to give every team a song, right? I think that's the way we need to do it moving forward.
Stay Alive. No, seriously, I think that's their song. Sometimes I feel like they literally... Staying Alive. I think that's their song, right? They jump in, and then they're just singing Staying Alive, like trying to stay alive.
Could you imagine that in the team comms? They're just singing that song the entire time.
I'm very sure that I think this has happened in the past. I mean, we won't know this because we don't get access to team comms, but I'm very sure there's one team out there, right? They're praying. We got to get the Booyah, guys. They're just singing this song, trying to survive.
It could be. I think it applies to every single team. Like, let's say you drop and then you lose like 3 guys, and you have to play the next 20 minutes is going to be the longest 20 minutes of your life, right? Because you're just avoiding. You hear gunshots, you get PTSD, you just hide in the corner, and you just don't let them find me. So I am pretty sure that every single team has been in that situation. Blacklist International in particular, I don't remember seeing them
just kind of, going in together like a SWAT team. There's a lot of hand holding in that sense, but at the same time, they're kind of prone to AoE effects, like grenades and all that. So it's kind of hit or miss depending on how they proceed. But I've been very impressed with just how they play and how coordinated they are. So I think it's going to be a little bit more, I don't know, Staying Alive is the one for me. With Blacklist. I don't know what other song, but to me, I feel like they're just kind of in control, like something, you know what I mean? Like I'm Roar kind of thing, and I think they're dominating.
You mean Roar by Katy Perry?
I was thinking to say.
Look at all these Katy Perry songs.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Which team is a Katy Perry song? Leave it in the comments right below, guys. Which teams you think is a Katy Perry song for each of these squads?
I mean, you can easily say that with Fast QMY's performance in the few games since week number 3, they could easily be fireworks. You know, they shot up from 10th place to 5th. So yeah, that could be one as well.
All right.
Oh god,
I think I need to just Google
one.
up like the entire song list of Katy Perry so that we can make sure.
I have one. For me, definitely is PXG Radicals. They, especially with that last round, and especially that they're going to be in that second spot, and they might lose that. They're definitely the ones that got away. And you know what? I'm blaming you here, Holler, for opening this Pandora's box. Man, this is all your fault, man.
All right, but in terms of SAF, what would you think about them? Are they? I'm trying to think.
Yeah. SAF.
Bon appetit, because they're like feeding off everybody else. Chained to the rhythm.
I was gonna say, what's that Katy Perry song? The one with like all the candy? Because I feel like at this rate, they've just been eating everyone
California
as
Girls.
if they're like
That's
a kid
me right now.
What is it?
California Girls.
California Girls.
I swear that's them. Like, they're just feeding off of everyone. It's like a kid in a candy shop. They just take whatever the heck they want, and they can get away with it. I mean, who's gonna stop them? No?
Yeah. Fair enough.
I see very confused faces. Okay, I'm on my own.
Because I have to admit, I have not heard that song before.
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely get behind that, right? They're so close. They are so close. I mean, they're done for the day, but there were a couple of occasions where Do Easy came really close, and that one game that they had to win to overtake the 12th spot team, they will flunk that round, and then we're back to square one. And suddenly, Do Easy will have this big gap. Well, not really a big gap, but like a one round worth of gap between them and 12th place, and it's just a very vicious cycle that they found themselves in.
Okay. What about Dark Horse?
I don't know if I want to say Forex Man Expert. I feel like they are. I feel like it's fitting for them since just because they are the new kids on the block, right? Their first appearance was FFMC, and then they come into MCP season 2, and they are now in 6th place. I feel like they might be one of the dark horses in top 12.
Mm-hmm. All right, and
Beef,
then...
wait, Beef, did you have something else? Because I saw your facial expression, and I feel like you don't totally agree.
I mean, yeah, I feel like they're the dark horses here for me, I guess. Would definitely be Argon, just because of that. I think it was like 5 tiers going up from the 18th spot, just slowly going up, and maybe even having a grasp of breaking into that top 10. I feel like I'm really just rooting for them. They finally got their booyah today, so that's definitely a win. And yes, it doesn't really.
So I think that it looks like the map is being loaded now. This is going to be match 6. I think we went through almost all of the Katy Perry songs, but Husky and Beef Mommy, please take it away.
And yes, finally, we're here, our last and final map. And I don't know how much we have to pay Katy Perry now, many times we've been mentioning her name. But finally, this is going to be our final map. And for sure, all of these teams really want to get that W, especially for the teams that really just need to get one here today.
Yeah, and I feel like the teams, if there's one team that needs a booyah, I think that team has to be Almighty. They are so close. I mean, they're tied with Views. Again, they're losing out in terms of placement points, just a 6-point difference. But overall, 235 is the magical number for these two teams. And whichever team is knocked out earlier will have to settle for 9th place by the end of the day. But Zep Squad Monarch once more finds himself in a horrible spot. This time, it's going to fall in the hands of Umbrella Reborn, and it does not seem like there's going to be anyone nearby to save him. So I can safely say that the Monarchy has
really just made it into the last round. And like what I think it was Danny who said it a while ago, it was the bottom squad that you really just thought would be gone out so early. They are the ones that are actually going to be at the very end. So again, with Zeth having one person down, Umbrella seems to be like they're at a very good spot, but they do get away just like that. So they do get to live another day.
Yeah, absolutely. And most importantly, I think it's sometimes it brings joy to me to see like these teams kind of at the lower end of the leaderboard start showing up, because it really messes up the standings, right? If you're the front runners, you want to maintain that position. But every once in a while, these teams, Zep Squad, Unbetter Reborn, they're gonna show up out of nowhere and they're gonna take you out. They ruin your standings. You just like to be that guy that trashes the ceremony, the party, and just screw everyone up. And in this case, if I can see Zep Squad somehow ruin the game for PXG Radicals or any other front runners, I think Zep Squad's gonna be happy, and we are gonna be happy as well.
You're basically saying that they're the party poopers here. That's just to give the teams a very hard time, which I agree. And honestly, if I were a team that's not really doing that well, I would want to sabotage a win and the points from other teams as well. So it's the name. That's a competition right now. But speaking of,
we're not really having the best area. This is gonna be mammoth, and if you want to hide within the ribcage of this big creature, you best believe that you're gonna get shot because there's just way too much open ground. In fact, look at what Forestman Expert is doing. Spade is already running on that bone structure just to gather information for his team. They're swarming in from all sides, and Fascu and Y, the only way to get out of this safely is to take out Forestman Expert. There's no avoiding this confrontation.
yeah, there's really no way that, because they are surrounded right now on all fours. They're going to be surrounded, and it's going to be very hard for them to really get out of here. The only way for them to actually go here is to maybe have that sniper and really just have a pick. But then with one person down already, that's going to be very hard. Fast Kill may see a very early exit for X-Men. Really strong start, knowing when to position themselves, knowing when to actually go and engage. Really smart plays here.
And Forestman Expert, they're doing it so well that they're already down 2 members of Fascu and Y. Jibat and Spade, though, they want to take out Yun, but Yun wins out at 1 versus 2, so Rybat's gonna be challenger number 3, and he also goes down. Oh, Yun single-handedly holds the fort at Forestman Expert, right? They have everyone surrounded, but they might have just botched this entire operation. Going in for the last kill. Goku with the time turner is gonna stay alive for a bit more, but this fight is pretty much donezo. He has to run.
Goku missing those essential shots, and those were supposed to be easy shots, and that is not going to be good for him as his health is dwindling down. So are his chances of actually placing high. There you go. Finally, Shark makes it out of the tank and really gives him a bite of what it feels like to be the bottom team. Really from Fast Kill, and that was supposed to be their win, but it's just Yoon with a denial with that triple kill is just absolutely amazing. And this is what I like about Free Fire. It just takes ruin your day and ruin your chances to actually go in there and make it into the final rounds of the game.
And of course, Forestman Expert makes the grave mistake of trickling from the side of Forestman Expert, really costing them that round. That's going to conclude the day, at least for them. Fascu and Y, not in the best position. They've already lost 2 of their buddies, but at least they're still in the game and in contention for more points. XPR, on the other hand, they're under fire from the high ground. And this is why you see them prop out all those blue walls. Wheels also getting shot at. And it's going to be from XPR. Blacklist International from Bayfront also going to join in the party.
Wheels going to be able to actually get a really nice hold right now of XPR. They have a nice view for them to actually go in for the kill. But how much they can actually do it so fast, not quite sure, because there's one squad that's going to be right above them. So they need to be smart with this, and they need to be fast. And that's the thing that we've seen here for Wills, is the lack of that aggression that we usually like to see. And this is the dilemma right now for Wills, is that Embalor is usually the person that pops off, and the only reason why they would actually get a booyah was if Embalor felt like it that day. So everyone else from his team actually needs to go and step it up. It can't just be that one-man show. There's a reason why this is a team thing, right? So they need to go in for aggression.
Yeah, and that has always been the problem with Views, right? Sometimes we see them go aggressive. It's not Views improving over time. It's more of just Views trying to shift their gameplay. But both those styles kind of resulted in the same outcome, something that Wheels need to work on. And I completely agree. Ember Lore and Alforte, those two are my dynamic duo, but the heavyweight is definitely going to be Ember Lore. And if that day he doesn't feel like the team's going to get a booyah, they're not going to get it. And it's just not what it should be.
Yeah, definitely. And it's really not what it should be. And for all of these teams that actually have been struggling, really need to go and work on their communication already as a team. So Yoon already having 3 kills to his name, so that's a good thing. They really did a very good start, but they're gonna be lagging behind. That might actually stop everyone on their tracks. Almighty seem to be like they always do good in the early game, but always just let it go here on the late game.
Yeah, and Almighty kind of falling back to what they are good at, just playing laying low, making sure that they're off the radar and then showing up in the final few phases. But one thing they have improved, even though they still have this very defined playstyle, is that they are willing to take those fights. QCs. PXG, on the other hand, will find themselves at the mercy of Almighty because Insanity is gone. Raymail is going to be the second one to follow as Wheels from the other angle is also going to join in the fight. So PXG Radicals, they're not only taking on Cannot Brain, they are taking on AKO, they're taking on Wheels, and they're also facing up against Almighty.
They keep putting themselves in situations where they can't really go in and just exit out. And that's the reason why you need to position yourself so smartly going into a certain place. And don't be like PXG in that situation where it's basically nowhere to go. So, and it's just the fact that they're also away from each other. And if you are going, and this is basically the demise already for XBR, because once you go into that tower, that little tower over there, it's basically game over for you. And that seems to be like they want to have a slice of the pie.
Yeah, and XBR, I mean, that is the worst spot to be in, especially when your opponents have sufficient grenades. Batman has 3 more, and he's just gonna use it in the least generous way to try and take out both members of XBR. It's a matter of time before they're out. But so far, Batman has to train your 3-pointers. Yeah, got it. 7 grenades, I believe, but the last one connects, and that's all that matters. They wipe out Cannot Brain. Almighty bagging 5 points so far.
Killing spree.
And Radicals, they aren't with the full squad. In fact, Batman sees the rotation, so this could be a chance for Almighty to make a move.
Absolutely, and the move is going to be very dire, and they need to go into the circle early because Almighty is not known to actually go and position themselves early enough, and they always get gatekept. Yes, they always have a really strong start, but it's always going to be in that end game that they really just struggle with. So the fact that they're moving on right now is going to be very nice, but PXG Radicals, one more person's actually going to be down over there, Blacklist International as well. So it's going to be a tricky spot because there's so many squads already left and right, and they're going to be always into that late rotation, so that's why they always just pay the price. And yes, it's going to be enough that's going in there.
And the PXG Radicals, because they made the early, they made a slight rotation just now from the of Almighty. They've split themselves up, and it's gonna be Blacklist International separating those 2 remaining survivors. Not good for PXG Radicals at all. The positioning just gets more and more worse for them. AKO Legend, though, having control at the corner of Refinery, they will find themselves staring off against UMB, but Taken's gonna be the first one to go down thanks to error from that low ground, somehow getting their shot off. This is gonna give UMB some space to work with, but sieging Refinery is gonna be one of the toughest tasks ever. They need good coordination, and Decos is gonna be there to stop them.
And they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. AKO seem to be like they're at a very great spot to be in, and it's always going to be Refinery over here. There you go, Fast Kill MY already eliminated as ITX. Tactical Intex, as per usual, going in there really aggressively. Umbrella, though, especially with that situation where you're going to be right there, kind of like a cheese in a trap, right? And they're going to have a very hard time for them to actually go in there.
Limit's gonna be down, but he's not out just yet. I think they've stirred the hornet's nest. You want to steal food away from the tigers, you best believe that they're gonna try and chase you down and fight you. But Wheels, they don't care. In fact, they back 4 for themselves. And AKO also suffered some casualties. Wheels, they're the biggest winner. They are the gatekeepers. You want to get past the street, you gotta pay the fine. And unfortunately, the fine is in terms of your life. Wheels getting themselves 5 free kills, and they also take out UMB.
UMB so early And right now, Will seem to be like they're at a prime spot where they can actually go in for the takedown. This is the perfect spot to just get rid of Zeth Squad. And here we go. PXG Radicals eliminated as well. And here, you can see here, Embalor popping off. This is what we keep saying. Once you see Embalor is actually gonna get a chance to really win that, and they are in prime position. They basically paid the people up top, hey, you know what, we want this land, we're gonna keep it, we're gonna build a condo here, we're gonna see everyone kill each other right there. Blacklist International going down one by one. Surprisingly, Phoenix yet again the only person left for his team to actually go in there as a glimmer of hope.
And not having a good time, and this is the perfect area. How are any of these guys ever gonna challenge Views? They're just gonna play on the low ground. Just Views felt like the Emperor staring down at a bunch of peasants as these guys starved to death, getting burnt by the blue zone. Views just needs to wait it out, and they know exactly where Almighty and Blacks International are. It's a matter of time until they get that win. But Forte is gonna he's gonna fall and knock himself out.
That is just unfortunate, but they still have 3 people left here in the mix. 3 squads to just win it all. Almighty also have 3 to their name, but then Embalor and Aoki finally gets the takedown, finally gets the kill, and this is going to be Blacklist International versus Wheels. One more person left here for Almighty, though. Really making the difference. Almighty versus Wheels. Blacklist International not in the equation, and just like that, we're going to be seeing Wheels already going in there for the win. And it's not really that surprising because their positioning a while ago was the reason why they're in here in the first place.
Oh my goodness, it came down to the wire. The circle decided to take fate into his own hands because Embalor, he went down the same time as the last guy from Blacks International, but I think Embalor managed to kill him off before he died, and that was the tiebreaker that we've been looking for, right? They were, tied with Almighty, they were tied at 235, but just a matter of seconds gave Wheels that upper hand. I'm gonna bring back our hosts, Holler and Dana Lee, because this is truly a spectacular finish to day number 8.
I loved Wheel's positioning as well because they were basically just sitting in the circle as the final boss, as everyone was like fighting to get to that circle. And then as soon as it came to it, and Wheels was in such a good position. Could anyone take them out? I doubt it.
Yeah, it would have been very difficult. Having the high ground, straight from Star Wars, right? You just have the high ground, and it's a huge advantage. They got super lucky with all the circles, making sure that they were up on top. Embalor living up to his alias of Embalord, and he had about 8 kills. He matches his highest total from, I think, day 2. But man, that guy really stepped up. He was just shooting them. He's an amazing sniper from the top. And to just kind of keep with the whole Katy Perry thing, I think that we saw Woos really rise up to the top. There we go. Boom, that's another one. So I think we're kind of allocating all the different teams with the Katy Perry song, and we'll have the rest probably till going into tomorrow as well.
You really had to bring in Katy Perry yet again, of course. That was absolutely crazy. Imagine the boss music that these guys heard, Almighty and Blacklist, was actually a Katy Perry song. Absolutely formidable. That's going to be intense Katy Perry music songs right there. But again, Embalor with absolutely just popping off. And this is the trend that we keep seeing his team for that booyah.
Yeah, and that's what true leaders do, right? They lead by example, and they also make sure that they're consistent. I think I still feel like the rest of the team has to step up, but at least they get a pass for this round simply because they got the booyah, and simply because that one guy that needs to really have a good showing showed up. Embalor feels like that steroid injection, right? He gets the right conditions. Everyone else comes online. Well, technically he comes online, and then he just carries everyone on his shoulders.
Now, I know that the matches today were very important for these teams. And the main reason being is that this was their introductory week to their new groups. So the teams they have a feel of all the groups. They've played with all these teams before, but now you get completely different dynamics because different teams are going to be permanently matched up with different teams. Do you feel like there are, so far, any teams that you think are just sitting in their group and thinking, wow, I hit the jackpot?
I want to say SAF, but seems like today is not the day, Sometimes you're just not lucky. You can be the luckiest person in the world, but you can also have the day where you go into the casino and you just lose everything. And I think SAF not off to a good well, when I say good, not off the perfect day one start in this new bracket, but overall, I feel like they would still feel as if they've hit the jackpot simply because
like there was an evenly distributed, winners and the kills. It wasn't just like one team dominating throughout. There was consistency in terms of some teams just being above average and scoring a little bit higher. But I think it was probably one of the most diverse, at least in terms of winners, of all the play days that we've had so far. It's been a good change up. And Beef, what are your thoughts on that?
You're absolutely right. And I like to see the change in pace. And the fact that the shuffle was the reason for that, there's a reason why. There's a lot of things going on. And the fact that not one team won a Booyah twice is so great to see. We like to have a change of pace, a change of story, and the fact that the people on top aren't going to be, having a really great run, and people from the bottom really just going up and up and up. And I really want to see the overall standings and really see how we actually get to have a lot of those things really go through here.
Now, of course, we do still have another play day tomorrow, so every team's going to be able to slot in another four rounds. But if we were to rate the groups in terms of the most difficult to the easiest, what are we kind of getting at here? Like, which group do we?
Other team in that group is just monstrous. This is why they have the highest total average scores out of all the 6 teams. So I feel like Group A is definitely the hardest group for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Group B is probably second in that case, just because I feel like their kills, the fact that they can get kills, will keep them consistently high in terms of scoring points. And I feel like just, when you have SAF, who's just like this monster, you're definitely going to just kind of increase that average, so to speak.
Yeah, same thing here. I think Group A is definitely top 1, Group B top 2, and Group C is going to be that 3rd spot. But as we see a lot of these matches, they're pretty even. So I think going in there tomorrow, it might be a different case. I really want to see it go down differently. And probably, I think the group that might topple down Group A could most likely be, I don't know, I feel like Group C. Because I like what I saw from Tactical Intex and from AKO Legend. Really great start. I think for the side of X-Men Expert, they just need to find their footing, but they've seen glimmers of hope. And you know what? One more team I think is going to be that dark horse here, Umbrella Reborn. They were pretty impressive today.
I like the fact that you just named another Katy Perry song. Awesome.
I know.
But if we're looking at AKO Legend and 4X-Men Expert, these were like top 18. Yeah.
I'm more worried. I feel like I'm more worried about 4X-Men Expert compared to AKO Legend. Just based off of the standings, right? AKO Legend is still ahead of 4X-Men Expert, and I feel like AKO Legend are a bit more composed when push comes to shove. Like 4X-Men Expert, early on, we saw them take on Fast QNY. They had such a good lead. They had probably, they ticked everything in the box. That was an unlosable fight, and they lost it just because they made one poor decision. So that really gets me worried. What happens if it's between life and death? They might just make a fatal mistake.
Now, of course, we've got the overall standings for today, and my oh my, are we looking at a little bit of a change here. So SAF, we're going to ignore them, I think maybe for the rest of the tournament, because I don't think these guys are going to move. But second place, we've got Blacklist International sitting at 309 points, just 4 points over PXG Radicals, but I think this is such a good sign for people that are cheering for Blacklist, because I think at some point we were worried that this team was going to struggle to even stay in top 4, top 5. And look at them now. I think this team has recovered remarkably.
Yeah, they're on the rise. They've done quite well. They've made sure that, hey, even with only 3 booyahs at this stage, getting all of those other points, that is no small feat in and of itself.
Yeah, and I never thought I would see the day where Bloody Hit is ahead of Freedom Rumble at any point of the league stage when it comes to the standings, right? They are ahead in 10th place, only 4 points ahead of Freedom Rumble. But the fact that Freedom Rumble is in this position really shows a lot about how other teams are improving. And Freedom Rumble, they're starting to lose a bit of steam. Fast QNY overtook them by a mile from 10th to 5th place. 4X-Men Expert in 6th. Then you have Vils, ITX, and even Almighty, a team that Freedom Rumble had no problem dealing with in the first 3 weeks, they're now ahead. So I don't know what's going on with FRU, but they have to start getting pretty worried about where they are right now.
I was actually gonna ask like what happened to FIU, but I'm not gonna ask you because apparently he doesn't know. But what do you feel like happened to FIU? Because this was a team that started off the season so strong, and then it's as if like they were blown away by the wind. What do you think happened?
I think it's more of like a mental state, right? Like, oh, we're kind of losing, we're not doing as well, and it kind of like wears on you, right? Like those are the moments where you need to take a timeout, talk to like, it's kind of like, I would say Never Really Over. I don't really know. Another Katy Perry song. I'm throwing that out there. But I just feel like it's just kind of, you're going to consistently drop and you're going to have some issues as you move forward.
Someone stop him. Someone stop him. Come on, man.
I'm going to lighten up the mood a little bit. Just a reminder, people, we have a code to give away. It's going to lighten up the mood, I promise. The code is down below. Make sure you grab it because it's going to expire at the end of the stream. So do share it with your friends, your family, whoever plays Free Fire that you know. Pass the code to them. It's lovely free stuff from us to you. Also, thank you so much, all of you, for tuning into the broadcast. We're going to be back tomorrow. That's it. We're not gone forever, okay? This is a weekly thing. We're going to keep on going. And if you are cheering for some of these teams, come back tomorrow. Send them your energy because I think some of them, it feels like they're going to need a little more energy tomorrow than they did today because we definitely had some teams underperform compared to what we're used to seeing. But it's the end of the day for us. Do we have any final words for some of these teams?
Ooh, I want to go.
Can't wait to see what tomorrow brings. Like I'm gonna finally take my attention off of SAF just for a while, and I want to look at other teams. ITX, that's the team I'm looking at. They did well today. They got a booyah, so I don't see why not. Why can't they perform tomorrow? I think they have a good shot.
Yeah, absolutely. You have such a good point there. And Holler, I kind of want to stop you there because I really like what you said a while ago about all of these teams, how they need to be 3 C's, calm, cool, collected, because a lot of people don't really get to view how you are a professional player. Yes, you get to do a lot of plays, but it's in those situations where you are at a very bad situation where you're going to be placing yourself in. It's a very bad spot to be in. The pressure on your shoulders to really just deliver with hundreds of thousands of people watching you. To have that professionalism is definitely something that a lot of these teams still need to sort of master, and that'll bring you a long way. So yeah, that's a really good thing that we got to see today.
And I think the teams are going to be wide awake, just kind of moving forward. That's another song, by the way. As they kind of move into this is going to be the second half of this season. It's going to be pretty crazy. I think the teams have really picked it up. I think it's been a difference in terms of season one, at least the first half of the second half. I regret nothing.
Oh my god, did I get muted? God damn it. Wait, did my mic die again? It's fine. It's fine. That's good enough.
Yeah,
it's good enough. It's
good.
It's honestly good.
All right, just because we're going to keep this going. We're going to...
Easy is next on the chopping block. And it seems like Fasco and White, they know where Do Easy is. Jembao, oh boy, no, shows his...
I'm just torn in between, man. I want both of those squads to get the best out of the equation. Blacklist International now. Cobra takes Fade out of the equation, or to the very least knocks him down onto the ground. Cobra needs to be very careful. So 7 HP left, and he goes in for the slice.
South Almighty! And Matrix, at least they do some damage, but it might be enough. Matrix now, they're under fire. Fasco and White coming through. Almighty chipping in. Matrix will go down eventually as they took a very unfavorable fight. Fasco and White